I don't want to waste too much time. We have a ton of questions that we need to get through, but of course, I will say that I'm going to be live streaming Sunday morning for the first 5 hours leading up to the games. So I'll be answering a ton of questions then. You can get them in on flockfantasy.com. You can get them in the live stream. Just make sure that you come with us Sunday morning. And yeah, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button as I'm answering fantasy football questions every single day on this live stream until Christmas. But let's go ahead and let's dive into this to AJ first. He says, I'm 2-0 right now. Do we have any advice? Not only are we 2-0, but at the same time, we are currently second in the league analyzer when it comes to value. We have the most points in this league as well. So it does look like we are probably the very top of the league standings. Now, going through and looking at the waiver wire in this league, I mean, there are going to be some things that stand out to us right away that we can do just to make the overall roster better going into the future. The first thing that I would be doing is wanting to pick up Rashee Rice. Now, there are a couple different options of players that you could cut. I understand that Juwan Johnson looks like he is a viable tight end streamer. I mean, hell, I have TJ Hawkinson and Dallas Goedert on my own fantasy football team, and I probably would prefer having Juwan Johnson over them at this point, and I'd probably rather start Juwan. But with that being said, you got Trey McBride. So if you have Trey McBride, then you don't need Juwan Johnson. So I would cut Juwan Johnson. I would pick up Rashee Rice. And then I would also consider going out there and getting Trey Benson. I mean, if we're looking at Benson, he's never going to hit your starting lineup outside of a James Conner injury. But if Conner were to go down, I think we've seen enough from Trey Benson, if we go back to his prospect profile coming out of school as well, that he could be a straight up league winner. So I would say that in the majority of your leagues, I'm completely fine rostering Caleb Williams as a QB2. But if we're going to be looking at what we have with our team having Josh Allen, like I would be fine cutting Caleb Williams in favor of Trey Benson. And because you have a significant positional advantage over the rest of your league. This is a 10-team league where you only start 2 receivers in a flex. And for that reason, if you only start 2 receivers in a flex, quarterback, tight end will make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output. So I love having Josh Allen. I love having Trey McBride. But obviously, it's going to mean that we are just a little bit weaker at running back than some of our league mates, just a little bit weaker at wide receiver. I mean, we're not even that weak, right? We're sitting here with Keenan Allen as our wide receiver 5. But I think we would just chase the highest ceiling that we could potentially get. And those high ceilings would come from players such as Trey Benson and Rashee Rice. Now, looking at potential trades that this team can make, I mean, you have enough depth where you could force your hand and try to trade for a better running back too. Now, I understand nobody's going to go out there. Nobody's going to trade for Jalen Waddle. Nobody's going to trade for Keenan Allen. But maybe we can get somebody to trade for Garrett Wilson still. I mean, it would have been easier last week. You know, we had Garrett Wilson as a sell high candidate after the week 1 blow up from Justin Fields. But if you could throw in Garrett Wilson to a deal with DeAndre Swift and get an improvement at running back, or Garrett Wilson and Tony Pollard and get an improvement at running back that way, I think that would be very compelling, especially as we look at the fact that you're going to be able to bring in Rashee Rice from the waiver wire for free. You're about to bring in Trey Benson from the waiver wire for free. So you're naturally just going to be more deep at both these positions as well in the long term. So if you wanted to go out there and make that 2-for-1 deal to upgrade running back, especially in your league settings, I think it'd make a ton of sense. But overall, you clearly have a phenomenal team. We're first in our league for a reason. We're top 2 in the league analyzer with total value as well. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with this. But yeah, let me send these over to your account. I really appreciate you hanging out with us as always, my guy. Now, we have a lot of teams that we need to get through before we get to the start, sit, trade questions, etc., etc. Don't get me wrong. We're going to answer a ton of start, sit questions in this live stream, but I am behind on team reviews, so we got to make sure we're getting through these. But K Kingdom says, just traded Chuba and Igbuka for Etienne and Hampton. Thoughts on anything else I should do? League is stingy with the top quarterbacks and tight ends. Well, I'll say it's an 8-team league where you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. So in general, I just want to be chasing the highest ceiling that we can possibly get. And running back, wide receiver depth is going to be super easy to come by. So I completely understand us wanting to go and trade for the elite quarterback, the elite tight end, if we are able to. But let me see what we have right now with our roster. So we currently are 2-0. We're at the very top of the league analyzer as well with total points. Let me sort this. I'm sorry, with total value points sorted by the points that are actually scored so far this season. We are second in the league. Now, looking at what we have. Wait, let me see this real quick. Is this real? This is hilarious. The team in your league that's number one in points scored is 0-2. How is that even possible? I mean, obviously, that's not something that we need to worry about, but that is just hilarious to see in general. But anyway, let's go back and let's look at our team. So first thing is that we obviously have to mention is 8-team league. The value over replacement level player, it's going to be a high bar to cross because we look at just the replacement level players on the waiver wire. Jalen Waddle's on the waiver wire in your league. Stephon Diggs is on the waiver wire in your league. Jerry Jeudy, Drake May, Trey Benson. So in general, again, the depth doesn't matter at all. You have Travis Etienne as your running back 4. You can't even start Etienne. We have CMC, Jonathan Taylor, and James Cook in our lineup every single week. So you already know what I'm going to say. We want to go and force our hand for the elite quarterback. I want to force our hand for the elite tight end. Maybe this isn't a trade I'd recommend for most people. As you can see that we have James Cook ranked 11 overall in our rest of season rankings. We are sitting here with James Cook as clearly a running back 1 that you can jam in every week, even in an 8-team league. But if James Cook's our running back 3, Travis Etienne's our RB4, and Amari Hampton's our running back 5, and you just have free names like Jalen Waddle off the waiver wire, so the skill positional depth's not going to matter because it's easy to come by, I would go through and I would offer James Cook and Jake Ferguson for Brock Bowers. I would offer it for Trey McBride. I know you said that your league mates are stingy when it comes to trading those top quarterbacks, when it comes to trading those top tight ends. And I'd probably agree with your league mates. They should be stingy because those positions are going to have a massive premium on them because those few elite level names that you can start every single week, of course, they're going to stand out when, I mean, you can just simply go and get Jalen Waddle off the waiver wire for free. So it doesn't matter that your league mates are stingy. Try to trade Drake London and Bo Nix for Lamar. Try to send him for Allen. Try to send James Cook and Bo Nix for Lamar, Allen. Try to send London and Ferg for McBride, London and Ferg for Bowers. That's the only thing you could reasonably do. Your team's loaded, both at running back and wide receiver. We're currently top of the league standings. I would drop Keon Coleman for Jalen Warren. But yeah, again, the only thing I think you could realistically say with this team is it probably makes sense for us to go through, and if we can, trade for an elite onesie, even if your league mates are going to value them extremely high. But let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with here. And let's also send some free questions out in the live chat. So every time we hit 100 likes on this live stream, we're going to be sending free questions to people. So if you have not done so already, make sure you go down there and drop a like on this live stream. I don't think there's anything else. Drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat so we can start sending out some free questions. I'm going to be live streaming for like 5 hours tonight. We'll be live streaming for like 5 hours tomorrow morning. So we have a lot of time to send out a lot of free questions, and appreciate y'all hanging out with us as always. But let's go ahead and let's send out a free question real quick for Real W Cheese. It's from Jose, longtime member of the flock. Always happy to see you, my guy. And one thing that I'm going to get the devs on the site to work for is, will be to be able to send y'all like flex vouchers, where right now I can only send you like a start sit or a trade. In the future, I'll make it where I can send you a free voucher and you can redeem it for either a start sit or a trade question. But for now, I just sent you over a free start sit. And Adam, it is free to have a flockfantasy.com account. Obviously, there are paid things on there as well, but a lot of the stuff on the site is completely free. But if you are wanting to qualify for the free questions that we give out in the live streams every night, just make sure you sign up with code FLOCK on the site. Now, AB says, my cook chat, thanks for any help, Mason. Appreciate you and excited to check this out. I think what we're probably going to have to do real quick is I'm going to have to go into the little review section on the site to figure out what our name is. But this is a 12-team start 8 full PPR format. So same league settings as the Flock League. This is going to be a league in which the skill positional depth is going to matter a bit more. We are 8th in the league in terms of total value. We are 1-1. We've scored 194 points. So we are 9th in the league in total points scored so far. Let's pull this up. And again, wide receiver depth is going to matter more in a league like this, as well as running back depth. So we just lost Joe Burrow. So obviously not sitting pretty there. If Burrow is on the IR, then cool. We can continue to roster him. However, if Joe Burrow is instead on your bench, I would say it's worth just going through and cutting bait. But I'm assuming that we only have 2 quarterbacks here on the active roster with Love and Michael Penix. Definitely better than the options on the waiver wire, and we're just going to stream these 2 QBs. Now, going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have Derrick Henry as well as Devon Achane as 2 running backs that we can just jam in every single week. They'll project out as RB1s. Javonte looks like he is going to be an incredible flex play for us. We have RJ Harvey for the long-term upside. It looks like Caleb Johnson may just be done and dusted. In reality, like the best options on your waiver wire are Isaac Grindo and Miles Sanders. So your league mates are smart enough where we're not able to just go out there and abuse them with a waiver wire pickup and dropping Caleb Johnson. Like, reality is you may end up just having to hold on to Caleb Johnson on your team here and send up a prayer that something eventually changes. Now, going over at wide receiver, we have Evans, Garrett Wilson as 2 guys that we can start every single week in a format like this. Looking at what we have with Jordan Addison, wide receiver 3, I would say if you're playing in like a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, Addison's not going to make a difference. But with your league settings, he surely will. So I really do like that. And then we have TJ Hawkinson at tight end. I have Hawkinson at my tight end spot as well. I absolutely hate it. He's been horrendous. I know that you already know this, right? But realistically, if we're going to go through and if we're going to try to tell you to make any pivots here with tight ends, Mark Andrews is the option that you would have. Like, Mark Andrews is the guy that we can pick up, and there's just no world in which I'm telling you to go out there and pick up Mark Andrews. We just can't do it. So waiver wire wise, I don't think there's anything to do with your league. I think your league mates kind of know what they're doing. It's going to make it very difficult for us to make any plays on waivers. If we were looking at making a trade, like, I would say that potentially trying to send RJ Harvey and Jordan Addison to just go get a player that we can throw into the flex spot right now would be something we are interested in. If you were 0-2 and we really needed a points right now, but we're 1-1. We're okay as it stands. I think you have a well-balanced roster. I think you got to wait till we get Addison back, wait till we get RJ Harvey contributing. Depth matters a lot with the skill positions here. I understand that maybe we have that lack of depth that's a little bit frustrating for the time being, but eventually these guys are going to come in. Eventually they are going to perform. So I actually do not make a single move with your team. If we could get back in a time machine and tell you not to draft Caleb Johnson, I would, but it's too late for that. And I can't even tell you to drop Caleb Johnson because the options on your waiver wire are limited. So I appreciate you, my guy. A solid team overall. And again, it's just going to be a tough spot with the Burrow injury, maybe limiting our quarterback position. And then we're just going to be waiting for the rookie running back with Harvey. But let's check this out for Big Man Betto. Says, hey, Mason, made 12 trades already. What the... but wondering if you would do anything before week 3 to bolster the roster even more. Love the vids, my guy. Appreciate you. And how the hell have you already made 3 trades? I'm sorry, 12 trades. We are 5th or 4th in the league analyzer. We're 1-1. We've scored 255 points, so we're right in the middle of the league with total points scored. Looking at what we have at quarterback, we have Caleb Daniel Jones. So realistically, we're just playing the matchups between these two QBs going into the future. Completely fine spot to be in. Is it the most exciting spot in the world? No, but like, I'm not going to tell you that you need to go out there and trade for a quarterback because it's a start 8 format. So the depth at the skill positions is actually going to matter a bit. So I think you're actually probably leaving this as is, to be honest. Going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have Bucky, we have Chase Brown, we have Breece Hall. So we have 3 running backs that we can lock and load start every single week. And then we have the long-term upside of Amari and Hampton and RJ Harvey, who I still believe are going to get much better as time goes on. So it's a long way to say that we're in a really good spot at running back. Like, we have the 3rd best running back room in this league. Going over and looking at what we have at wide receiver, we have London, Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze. Now, if Jalen Coker was on our bench, I would want to go ahead and I would want to cut Jalen Coker in favor of Darnell Mooney. But I'm going to assume that he's not on your bench, and instead, I'm going to assume that he's actually on your IR, not taking up a roster spot. So that's a great wide receiver room. Like, in the short term, your lineup has Caleb, Bucky, Chase, London, Thomas, and the flexes, Breece and Rome. Then we have Harold Fannin at tight end. We're just waiting for George Kittle to come back. So looking at your roster, I don't think there's anything that I'd want to tell you. I think this is an incredible team. I would cut, honestly, I'm going to cut Woody Marks for Darnell Mooney anyway. You're a league where you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. I think Mooney should be rostered. Cut Marks for Mooney and then just wait for the rookie running backs to break out and wait for George Kittle to come back. And once that happens, you're going to be in a phenomenal situation. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much again for being a member of the flock. And I think you clearly know what you're doing with the construction of your team given your league settings. But it looks like we just hit 200 likes on the stream. So we will go ahead and we will give away some more free questions. Again, all you got to do to get those is drop a like on the live stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And let me pull that up on the other window to see how we can send away these free questions. So we got CJC2388. CJC23. Just found you, my guy, and just sent you over that free start sit. Really appreciate hanging out with us in this live stream. Okay. Now, Jay Morero says, hey, Mason, I'm starting out 0-2, but not really upset with the team. Any suggestions on a trade? Yes, sir. Let's go ahead. Let's dive into this. So we are Knicks 7. We are 0-2. We've scored 193 points. We are currently the 8th team in points scored. In terms of value on the roster, the league analyzer has us at 4th. This is a 14-team format. So 14-team league, depth is going to be much harder to come by. And it's going to be more difficult to tell you to, oh yeah, let's go out there and let's trade for a better tight end. Oh yeah, let's trade for a better quarterback, because in general, we're going to be tasked with having to kind of build out this running back, build out this wide receiver room. Now, looking at what we have when it comes to quarterback, we are sitting with Bo Nix. Bo Nix, a completely fine option when it comes to a 14-team league. I would say 14-team format, the expectation will be that most teams are rostering 2. So it is going to be difficult for us to be able to make any moves if Bo Nix were to get injured. Like if Bo Nix gets injured, Cam Ward's the best quarterback on the waiver wire this week for you to put him in your lineup. So what I would realistically do is I would actually cut Deonta Thornton. I don't necessarily know how he would ever hit our lineup. And I would pick up either Cam Ward or JJ McCarthy. Obviously, if you could throw McCarthy into an IR slot, you would pick him up right this second. I'm assuming we can't put him in an IR. So with that in mind, you probably look to go ahead and just add Cam Ward. Give us the optionality. I would say the majority of the time. Again, I'm not wanting to roster 2 QBs, but it's a 14-team league, so you kind of have to. Now, looking at what we have at running back, we have Gibbs, we have Etienne, we have Amari and Hampton. So Gibbs, clearly a running back 1 here in a 14-team league. Travis Etienne in a 14-team format is kind of a borderline RB1 as well. Amari and Hampton, I would be fine starting as an RB2 in a 14-team format. Then you throw in the fact that you're also getting him as your RB. This is an incredible running back room. We're ranked 3rd in the league at running back. Wide receiver, we have Tet, we have T, we have Ridley, we have Pittman, we have Keon Coleman, and we have Deonta Thornton. I said we would cut Thornton and we would pick up that extra quarterback. But I don't want to be making any trades here in terms of, I don't want to be selling any of these wide receivers because, again, you go over to the waiver wire and the waiver wire at wide receiver is barren. So, like, who we'd be able to backfill our roster with isn't super exciting. I'm trying to come up with anything here for this team. I think the only thing that I would do with this roster is I would cut Thornton and I'd pick up the extra quarterback. Whether that would be Cam Ward, whether that would be McCarthy, it'd be up to you. But 14-team league, I think this is a phenomenal roster. And you're going to be okay. We just obviously need to wait for the Amari and Hampton breakout. You drafted a couple rookies, and the rookies are just going to take some time. Okay. So let's move this over to B Petty 80. Always happy to see us. Says, like my team so far, but want to make a move to get a top-tier running back. Was thinking of trading Kyron and QJ for an upgrade, but unsure on that move. Want to keep my big 3 wide receivers intact. What moves would you recommend me making, and what players should I target? So we are the Show Me Your TDs. We are 1-1. We've scored 256 points, so we're actually closer to the middle league when it comes to total points scored. But you want to keep the big 3 wide receivers intact, you said. This is a league in which we can start 4 wide receivers weekly, so the depth isn't completely meaningless. Now, going through and looking at the waiver wire just briefly, I'll say there's a quick move that we can make, and that would be probably cutting Byshell Tuten for Trey Benson. At this point, I'm just kind of all in on Benson with what we have seen so far this year. Then going over and looking at what we have with quarterback, Drake May is going to be our weakest position. Having Drake May at QB, you are effectively streaming the quarterback position in a 10-team league in particular. 14-team format obviously would be a little bit different, but 10-team league quarterback is brutal. Then looking at what we have at running back, Kyron as an RB1 in a 10-team league, not looking good. Kenneth Walker kind of comes in to save the day. Phenomenal running back one until Zach Charbonnet comes back in. But once Charbs comes back, I'm not excited to have Kenneth Walker as an RB1. We have Trevion and Ja'Cory Cross-Gamerett as long-term upside. And then we're going to have Trey Benson here as well. Now going over to wide receiver, we are sitting with Lamb, Neighbors, Rome. You said you want to keep that intact. We have Ricky Pearsall, we have Ridley, we have Quentin Johnson. Here's what I would do with your team. I would try to sell one of the receivers and either package them with Kyron to try to get a better running back or package them with Drake May to try to get a better quarterback. Like if you could send Rome Odunze and Drake May and go get Jaden Daniels right now with Jaden Daniels injured and then just pick up Daniel Jones off the waiver wire, that is what I would want to do. I know you were saying that you're not wanting to, but what other move can we make other than like, if you can sell Ricky Pearsall, then go for it. Like if you can sell Ricky Pearsall and Kyron Williams in a 2-for-1 deal to get a running back upgrade that way, then sure, that's the move that we would want to make. But my thing is, I just don't expect anybody to want to buy Ricky Pearsall. I think if you're selling a receiver, it kind of has to be Roman. It has to be somebody that's somewhat exciting. Like, just to give you some potential options here, I'll look at the teams that are worst in this league at wide receiver and see if they would trade for Pearsall. Like, if you could send Ricky Pearsall and Trevion Henderson for Ashton Genty, let's do it. But it's probably not getting done. You're probably going to have to do Rome Odunze to get that done. This team here actually really could use Ricky Pearsall for sure. If we could send Ricky Pearsall and Kyron Williams to get to Josh Jacobs, let's go for it. This team could use Ricky Pearsall. If we could send Pearsall and Kyron Williams to get to James Cook, let's go for it. This team's okay with their depth. That team's all right. That team's all right. And yeah, the issue is there just aren't going to be many teams in your league that are fine going through and trading for like one of these depth wide receivers in a 10-teamer. So again, like we'll try. Let's send Ricky Pearsall and a running back to go get an RB upgrade. Or Ricky Pearsall and May to go get a QB upgrade. But I think you just got to be ready for your league mates to ask for Rome Odunze instead. And then, like I said, I would cut Tune for Trey Benson. But outside of that, I don't necessarily think that you need to make any waiver wire moves. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me send you over some free questions here, just in case there's anything else that you want me to follow up with. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be coming out from Brendan. Says, I'm 1-1 and I'm not very confident with the team. I'd love some advice on where to go from here and what moves I should make. Thanks. Thank you, my guys. Super excited to check this out for you. Now, we are Saquon's season. We are currently 10th in the league analyzer when it comes to total value. And we are dead last in this league when it comes to actual points. Now, there are reasons to believe that this can get better going into the future. Looking at what we have here at quarterback, we have Caleb and Trevor Lawrence currently. Looking at the quarterbacks on the waiver wire, you have Michael Penix, Matthew Stafford, Geno Smith, Cam Ward. So, If we were making any waiver wire pivots, you could consider, not telling you need to do it, but you could possibly consider cutting Trevor Lawrence in favor of Michael Penix. Going over to running back, if Caleb Johnson truly is a healthy scratch tomorrow, I would probably go ahead and cut Caleb Johnson for Braylon Allen, just in case something happens with Breece Hall. But we have Barkley, we have Kenneth Walker. So this running back room is going to be much better going into the future in comparison to what it's been through the first few weeks. We have Quinshon Judkins back. Yeah, so this running back room is just going to improve naturally. Again, like I said, I think what you probably need to do is you probably need to look to cut Trey Benson for Braylon Allen, call it a day there. Going over to receiver, we have Adam Thielen. I would cut Adam Thielen as well. Like, realistically, what path do you have for Adam Thielen to hit your lineup? Like, in my opinion, you're probably not starting him now, and you're definitely not starting him once you get Jordan Addison back in. So I would cut Adam Thielen, and I would either look at picking up Brenton Strange or look at picking up another handcuffed running back, whether that's Ray Davis or Najee Harris. But wide receiver is our weakest position. We have A.J. Brown, who obviously has been very disappointing. Beyond A.J. Brown, we have T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, which we're not excited about. And I say that as somebody who has, embarrassingly enough, T. Higgins and DK Metcalf as their wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 combo in the Flock League. And then we have Worthy potentially coming into the long term. So wide receiver is going to be the biggest issue with your team. But what trade could you make to improve it? I don't see one. If we could get in a time machine and sell Caleb Johnson before the season started with A.J. Brown to get a better wide receiver, we would want to. But again, much easier said than done. Looking at any potential trades, like they typically have to come from somewhere of expendable value. I mean, you obviously know that you can always go and look at the rankings on the site and see like, oh, I don't love this wide receiver room. Let's pull up the ranks on the site and see who Mason would trade our wide receivers for. But that would kind of have to involve you maybe robbing one of your league mates. Like, looking, if you can sell A.J. Brown for Brian Thomas, I would do it. If you could sell A.J. Brown for Ladd McConkey, I'd do it. If you could sell A.J. Brown, I'm not even sharing my screen here. I forgot that we changed that setting. If you could sell T. Higgins for Garrett Wilson, if you had more points, if you were 2-0, I'd want to sell T. Higgins for Rashee Rice. Sell Higgins for Flowers, Rome, obviously, that would be an absolute no-brainer. I'd sell Metcalf for Garrett Wilson. I'd sell Metcalf for Rice. But structurally, your team's fine. The only thing I do is cut Caleb, cut Thielen, pick up the 2 other handcuff backs. And then if you could just swap a wide receiver for one that we like more, then sure, let's go for it. But again, that's just going to be much, much easier said than done. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And let me send you over some free questions just in case if you wanted to have any specific follow-ups with us. But I think structurally your team's fine. Now let's move this over to Lee Shadowed. Says, first timer here, just curious on thoughts on the team, plus if we should pick up anybody off the waiver wire. I really appreciate you and excited to check this out. So we are currently second in the league analyzer when it comes to value. We scored 256 points, which is also second in this league in points scored. Going through and taking a look at what we have available to us, I need to mention this is an 8-team league. So with this being an 8-team league, the floor with these players is not going to matter at all. The only thing that is going to matter here will be the ceiling. You could always go to the waiver wire and just pick up a player like Keenan Allen, Jalen Warren, Quinshon Judkins, J.K. Dobbins, just for completely free. So speaking of the players currently on our roster that in an 8-team league probably don't have the upside to turn into just every week starters, I would say that's going to be Keon Coleman. That's going to be DJ Moore. I think 2 wide receivers out there on the waiver wire that obviously give us a much lower floor but a much higher ceiling would be the combination of Rashee Rice and Chris Godwin. So I would cut DJ Moore. I would cut Keon Coleman for Rashee Rice and Chris Godwin. Obviously, you don't need to cut them. You can try trading them. Like you could try sending DJ Moore and Tucker Kraft to get to Trey McBride, to get to Brock Bowers. So if we were looking at what we could potentially do with a different type of trade, maybe it's sending DJ Moore and Mahomes and trying to get to Jaden Daniels for the long term. And then obviously that would force our hand to just stream a quarterback this week. You could pick up Dak Prescott. It's an 8-team league. There are plenty of streamers out there. So I think the other potential thing that we need to discuss is the obvious. If you could send Javonte and Travis Etienne in a 2-for-1 deal to go get an improvement at running back. If you can sell Etienne and Javonte in a 2-for-1 deal to go get Josh Jacobs, go get Bucky Irving, go get Devon Achane, we're going for it. Just because you have so much depth, we have like Jordan Mason down here on our bench at the moment. Which actually, side note, I would not put Jordan Mason on your bench. Your starting lineup, in my opinion, this week should be Mahomes, Derrick Henry, Jordan Mason, Jamar, JSN, Nico Collins, and Tucker Kraft. But anyway, those 2-for-1 deals to get improvements inside the starting lineups, the only thing to do. Try to send Kyron and Mahomes to get Lamar, to get Allen. Send Etienne if they don't want Kyron, it just doesn't matter. You have 7 viable running backs here. And then again, like I said, I do think that you want to be optimizing for the upside that we have when it comes to the bottom end of the bench. So I'd be cutting DJ Moore. I'd be cutting Keon Coleman, assuming you can't trade them for anything. And I'd be picking up the combo of Rashee Rice and Chris Godwin because the only thing that matters here is the upside. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Let me go ahead and send you over some of these free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. We just sent those over your way. But let's move this over to Buddy Aces coming through with a massive, massive dono. Really appreciate you, my guys. Says, hey, Mason, love the channel. I'm 1-1, but I'm worried about the wide receiver room. What moves can we make to make this team better? So we are currently 3rd in the league analyzer with value out of 12 teams. We scored 220 points so far this season, which puts us 6th in the league in points for. So we are kind of dead average here. This is a league in which wide receiver depth is going to matter a little bit more. The reason being is you can start up to 8 players, so 4 wide receivers here weekly. Now, it does look like this may be a half PPR format, and if that is the case, it will be slightly less optimal to have the wide receiver in the flex spot in comparison to what you could potentially have with a running back. But anyway, going through and looking at what we have available to us on the waiver wire first. Quarterback, obviously, we do not need to pick up any of these names as we're sitting here with Lamar Jackson. And if we have Lamar, we're in a perfectly fine spot. Now, going over and looking at running back, we do have a couple of running backs that are injuries away from making a pretty big difference in fantasy football. So what I would potentially consider doing is finding a way to pick up Braylon Allen, finding a way to pick up Blake Corum. Looking at what we have with the bottom end of our bench, we have a ton of these names that in basketball would be great, right? Because there's a good shot that Kayshon Boutte, Alec Manor, Troy Franklin, Cedric Tillman, all these guys are going to have random big weeks going into the future. But my question to you is, are you going to be able to predict when to start these players? Serious question. Because my assumption would be that it's going to be pretty much impossible to know when you put in Cedric Tillman versus when you put in Kayshon Boutte. So I would consider maybe picking your two favorite wide receivers out of this group and then cutting the two other ones. To pick up Braylon Allen and Blake Corum. My only hesitation in saying that as we go through and we look at the top end of your wide receiver room, it's not great. We have London wide receiver 1, say below average wide receiver 1. We have Travis Hunter wide receiver 2, below average wide receiver 2. Devonta Smith wide receiver 3, which is fine. Addison, we're going to be waiting for another week. Him coming back wide receiver 4 will be okay, but obviously you just don't really have a floor when it comes to these receivers. Looking at tight end, we have the combo of Kittle and Harold Fannin. This is such a unique team and such an interesting team. Let's look at wide receivers. So I don't know if you have an empty IR slot, or actually I guess George Kittle's on your IR, so never mind with that. One thing that I'd be on the lookout for is Luther Burden. It looks like Luther Burden could potentially turn into a league winner. We have trade rumors circulating with DJ Moore. And at the same time, we have Ben Johnson coming through and saying that they need to get Luther Burden more involved, and he had a really strong prospect profile. Looking at tight ends, I like Loveland as well in Chicago, but obviously there's no way I could tell you to pick up Loveland now because you need a tight end that we can start. And we have the long-term upside with Kittle. But we have Harold Fannin we can start right now, and he gives you long-term upside. So you are completely right to feel questionable about this wide receiver room. I would as well if I were you. But I don't know if the way to go about it is to roster this many receivers. Because again, it's not best ball. You're going to have to try to predict when you actually put these guys in your lineup. One thing that you could potentially consider doing, because we're okay at running back, right? Is if we can look at the teams that really need help at RB. Let's sort this league by best to worst running back rooms. And let's see if we can find somebody that would potentially need Jaylen Warren. So this team has, I guess, DeAndre Swift RB2, Ramondre RB3. So the issue with this roster is not their running back depth. The issue with this roster is more so their top-end production. This team has Chase Brown, J.K. Dobbins, I guess, that they can start right now. Here's a team that has no running back too, right? So we look at a roster like this. This is Kingslayer. They clearly could use a player like Jaylen Warren. Now, in terms of the options that they have to give us, I guess you could say A.J. Brown. If we were trying to make a trade, we could go like Jaylen Warren and Devonta Smith or Jaylen Warren and Travis Hunter to try to get to A.J. Brown. Obviously, I'd way rather have Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm just assuming there's no way they trade us JSN. And I think there's a real shot that this team would be excited about making a trade like that because, again, Jaylen Warren would be a dramatic upgrade over RJ Harvey as their RB2 at the moment. Going over and looking at this team, team could use some help as well at running back. Wide receiver, they have a Monra. Maybe you want to go like Jalen Warren and Drake London to try to get a Monra if you really feel comfortable. This team here has like Cam Scadaboo or Amari Hampton in at running back. You could try sending them Jalen Warren straight up for like Jamison Williams or Jacoby Myers or Chris Olave, just one of these receivers. Or you could try sending like Jalen Warren and Drake London for Lamb, Jalen Warren and Devonta Smith. No. Jalen Warren and Jordan Addison for Devontae Adams. But I think that's all I got for you here. Let me send you over a bunch of free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with for this team. We'll send you a bunch of free... Ooh, we need to log out and log back in so I can send these vouchers over. So give me 1 second to do that. And as I do that, I will stall by asking y'all, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Every 100 likes we hit, we're going to be giving out free questions to people in the chat. And on top of that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We live stream answering fantasy football questions every single day. I've not missed a day of live streaming in months, and at the same time, I'm not going to miss a day of live streaming answering questions until Christmas either. But let's go ahead and send you over a bunch of free questions, my guy. Again, I really appreciate you and would be happy to follow up with anything that you want here. Let me send you over a bunch. Okay. But again, thank you so much, my guy. Now, let's move this over to our next one. It's going to be from TSAC. And actually, before we get to this, let's instead look at some of the quicker questions. Let's get to some start, sit, trade, super messages, and then we will go back over to the roster reviews. But Kev Lord here with the start sit. Wide receiver, London, Brian Thomas. Tight end, Tyler Warren. And then for the flexes, Kenneth Walker and Ladd McConkey versus Travis Etienne is going to be a little bit of a tough call, to be honest. This is a full PPR format, and with this being a full PPR league, I hope I'm wrong. I would definitely win a lot more money if it was Travis Etienne. But I think I'd prefer Ladd McConkey here. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This is a trade from Bitter Hornet. This is Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt and Byshell Tootin versus Alvin Kamara and Xavier Worthy. Give me Worthy over Tootin. Give me Kamara over Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. So this is going to be the Kamara and Worthy side. Easy. Now, Andres, the 6-point passing touchdown with Rodgers, Browning, Wilson, Sam, Geno, Mack. Here, I would probably play Lawrence over these names. Running back, we have Achane, Kyron. Wide receiver, we're going to go Lamb, Wilson. Warren at the tight end spot, and then we'll go Cortland Sutton in the flex, expecting a Cortland Sutton bounce back this week. Bitter Hornet looking to trade Igbuka and T. Higgins for JSN. I'd for sure do this as well, my friend. Now, Bobby Bottles with the start set here for the flex between Sutton, Marv, and Jalen Warren. I am actually probably going to be throwing in the towel now that they are making Caleb Johnson what looks like a healthy scratch for this weekend. I think you just say, hey, man, Jalen Warren's the true 3-down running back here. Has been a great receiving back so far. Let's go ahead. Let's take Jalen Warren. Especially with the context that you have a great matchup going up against the New England Patriots. Okay. Now, moving this over to our next one. La Gente, quarterback. I don't know who you have available to you on the waiver wire, but obviously we have our quarterback rankings posted. Wide receiver, Michael Pittman here over Higgins easily. And for the flex, I'm going to go Trevion over Tracy. Like, Tracy looks like he's lost his job. Trevion obviously doesn't have the starting job either. But I think Trevion's in a better offense, and I think he's a better player as well. Although I'm not a big Tracy guy. La Gente with another start set. Here for the flex, you can go with like a banged up Igbokwe or Trevion or Ja'Cory Cross-Camara. I'd rather go with the banged up Igbokwe if I had to pick a lane here. Now, next question's your neighbor Jennings. Here, running back, give me Kenneth Walker, Brees as the easy plays. Tight end, I'm going to go Ferg over Ertz with no Daniels. And then for the flex, Ladd McConkey is going to be an easy play as well. Now, the chosen ones, here running back, let's go with Ja'Cory Cross-Camara over Amari and Hampton. Actually, no, I can't do it. The projections have Ja'Cory Cross-Camara as the play. I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to take Hampton. I'm sorry. Hampton's played the snaps. I still believe he's a much, much better player. And Ja'Cory Cross-Camara, I know he has the upside, especially with no Eckler. I just think you can see it first. Like, Hampton's averaged 70% of the snaps over the past 2 weeks. So, of course, looking at the projections and looking at them saying it's Ja'Cory Cross-Camara, it makes me feel like an idiot, and I'm probably wrong. But if it was my team, I would be starting Amari and Hampton over him. I think you can wait a week before you put JSN in. Okay. Let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be from Saram. Saram, always happy to see you. Here, tight ends, it's Juwan versus Andrews versus Fannin. I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson, even though you still have no Isaiah Likely, and even if the Ravens offense projects being the highest scoring game this season. Like, I can't do it. And then looking at what we have for the flex, I'm going to go with Diggs. I don't really know if there was another option you could go with, like maybe Najee, Trey Benson, but no, I mean, with Stephon Diggs, played more snaps week 2 than he did week 1. You can kind of see this jumping from, actually, it says the same whenever I had looked at sleeper at it otherwise. Let me see this. What is ran a hell of a lot less routes week 2. Let me see this. I thought Diggs jumped in. Let me look at something here. It's interesting. Our snap rates are different than sleepers in some of these weeks. I wonder if they're whose stat provider's off. But nonetheless, with Diggs, I think you are going to see the continued role as he gets further removed from the torn ACL. And like, how the hell am I going to tell you to start freaking Braylon Allen? Now, Naaman Shah trading Drake May, Josh Jacobs, Devonta Smith for Jaden Daniels, Brees, and Stephon Diggs. Jacobs to Daniels downgrade, Devonta Smith to Brees upgrade, Drake May to Diggs lateral move. I would rather keep the best player here. I'd rather keep Josh Jacobs. Now, Cody Berry trading Kyron and Igbokwe for Hampton and A.J. Brown. Kyron to A.J. Brown, tomato tomato for me. Igbokwe to Hampton, tomato tomato for me. So I'm telling you that most people would rather have the Kyron and Igbokwe side, but I think this is a completely fair deal. I think it's going to be up to you. Now, Ryland trading Mike Evans for A.J. Brown. I mean, I have them ranked wide receiver 15 and wide receiver 12, so they are very close for me. But looking at the long-term outlook, I do think you eventually get Godwin back here in Tampa. You have Igbokwe as well, so there will be a decent amount of competition there for Evans. Now, our next one coming out from Andrew, trading Lamar for Ladd. I'd way rather have Lamar. There are very few formats that I'd prefer Ladd over Lamar. Bope says, I have Rome for my use this week, but I can get Rice straight up after the week. Okay. So I have Rome ranked over Rice rest of season for now. But if what you are saying is, I'm not trading Rome for Rice right now, I'm going to be able to start Rome this week, and then after this week, sell him for Rashee Rice. Which, if that is the case, While I think Rome has a tremendous amount of upside, especially with the DJ Moore trade rumors, it's not an easy call because, again, I do have Rome ranked over Rashee Rice rest of season. But if you were ever going to trade Rome for Rice, it would be after this week when Rice is only 3 weeks away from returning. I wouldn't do this right now, but again, if you can wait until after this week, I think you can. But let's look at this for Sukoyami, trading Puka Nacua for James Cook and Nico Collins. So right now, running back, we have Chase Brown, Jordan Mason, Montgomery Hampton. So we're fine at RB. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Puka, J-Mo, Myers. So I guess actually our depth is a little bit shaky. Travis Hunter, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin are not usable for the time being. It's a league in which you can start up to 8 players. So if you can start, if you have 2 flex spots in this league, then yeah, I think you can trade Puka for the combo Nico and James Cook. If it was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, then I'd probably just keep the best player with Puka Nacua because while obviously James Cook would start for us and James Cook would be great, I wouldn't think that you need to add the depth piece if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. But really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. Frank the Tank, longtime member of the flock, coming through with the start set. Here, we're going to go Jalen Warren over Hampton this week. I'd rather have Hampton rest of season. Tight end, give me Ferg over Jawan and Fannin. And then down there in the flex, I probably will take DJ Moore. Definitely concerned with DJ Moore's lack of overall production as well as the trade rumors. But you do have a phenomenal matchup going up against the Dallas Cowboys in a game that has an incredibly high ceiling. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and let's move back over to the team reviews. So this is going to be from T-Sack. Says, my running back room is atrocious. Do I try adding one of my wide receivers for a better RB or wait on the young guys / hope for a handcuff to hit? If the trade route, what do you suggest? Seems like it'll be hard to get anything done if I don't move Jefferson or Puka, which is why I am reluctant. So it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So the wide receiver depth in general doesn't matter. We are 2-0. We've scored 255 points, so we're top 3 in the league with points scored at the moment. Looking at the construction of this roster, it's great. It really is. The Kittle injury absolutely sucks because here quarterback and tight end are going to be incredibly important. This is a league in which you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So quarterback and tight end are going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. So having Lamar Jackson, phenomenal. Having George Kittle is great as well. Now I will say with that, I'm definitely a little bit frustrated with the Kittle injury that we have to play Juwan Johnson right now. But Juwan Johnson, of course, not a bad streamer by any stretch of the imagination. Now, looking at potential pickups at either position, Caleb Williams is the best waiver wire quarterback there is by a decent little margin. So I'd say a lot of teams in your league probably should pick up Caleb Williams, but you specifically, if we have Lamar Jackson, obviously we're good starting Lamar every single week. We don't need to pick up another quarterback. Now, going over to running back, here is the position that is an issue. You were saying it's atrocious, and while I would agree that the running backs at the top end are very bad, and the league analyzer is putting us dead last with running back value. What I like about the running back room is while it's bad, we are rostering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 running backs. So we are giving ourselves a bunch of different shots of hitting on someone who maybe turns into a league winner. Hitting on someone that maybe turns into Chase Brown, maybe turns into Bucky Irving from last season. In terms of who we're starting at the moment, we're probably starting Nick Chubb and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, which in a 10-team league, again, horrendous. But in the long term, We have the upside of Harvey. We have the upside of Benson. We have the upside of Algier. If Scadaboo gets injured, then maybe Tracy is a play as well. But I completely agree with you that running back's probably going to be the position that if we were to ever do anything, that's what we're going after. Now, I definitely don't want to trade the elite quarterback because your league settings. I definitely don't want to sell George Kittle because you are 2-0, right? So if you're 2-0, you're in a spot in which Kittle's going to be a lot better for you than he would be for other people. So I would say the easy thing that we can do, looking at how strong we are at wide receiver with the number one wide receiver room in this league, is if you could just do a simple pivot where we trade one of the elite receivers for an elite running back, where if you could sell Puka Nacua for Bijan Robinson, for Jahmyr Gibbs, for Saquon Barkley, you probably just go ahead and do it. Because then you can still start Jefferson, T, and Pickens every single week. If you could sell Justin Jefferson for Jonathan Taylor, let's do it. If you can sell Jefferson for CMC, if you could sell Jefferson for any of those three other running backs that we had previously mentioned, let's go for it. Now, obviously, the other option would be us taking like T. Higgins and sending him in a 2-for-1 deal with a player like, I wouldn't want to sell RJ Harvey because RJ Harvey obviously not producing right now, but does give you a decent amount of long-term upside. And when you're 2-0, you actually have the flexibility where you can afford to build for that long-term upside, right? So I think RJ Harvey is like much better on your roster than he'd be for a lot of other people. So I want to leave RJ Harvey on our team. But if you wanted to send like Higgins and like Nick Chubb and try to go get a better running back that way, try to get up to like Kyron Williams, let's go for it. But try to get up to Breece Hall, let's go for it. But again, I'd imagine it's going to be much easier. That's going to be much easier said than done. So, yeah, I think the simple thing would just be pivoting one of the elite wide receivers to an elite running back. If we can do that, then we balance out a lot of production on the roster, balance out a lot of the value, and we're not really in a bad spot either. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with us, my guy. But it looks like we maybe hit 400 likes on the stream. Can somebody confirm? Because if we did, we need to go down to the chat and send away some free questions for y'all. But please let me know in the live chat if we actually hit 400. And then before we move on here, I will say Rachaad White's going to be somebody that I want to pick up. I'd probably cut Tajee Spears if Spears is actually on our roster. Now, if he's on our IR, then instead I may cut Tyrone Tracy or Algier for Rachaad White, just as the premium handcuff back. But okay, yeah, it does look like we had 400. So to get those free questions, all you got to do is go to the chat and drop your flockfantasy.com username, and then also hit the like button, and then we'll send out some free questions. But as we wait for y'all to drop your usernames, let's move over to Cheddar's team. Says, it won't let me ask a start-sit question. Please help. So how we have it set up at the moment before we catch up on all the teams is anybody can buy a roster review or submit a roster review if they have a voucher. But if you were going to submit a trade question or a start-sit question, you have to have one of those free vouchers that you either got with being an annual member of the site or you got with getting the season pass, and or you got by winning them free in the live chat in the live stream. But I'll send you over some free vouchers right now, just in case you wanted to go through and send in a question whenever you wanted. And then we'll be excited to check out your team, come up with your starting lineup, the whole 9 yards. But first, let me send somebody else in the chat a free question. Let's send this over to Chadley. And if we can't find Chadley on the site, we'll move over to our next person. But Chadley, I actually cannot find you. I don't know if you use code FLOCK when you signed up to the site. I can only find you on my users page if you use code FLOCK. But let's go ahead and let's send this to the next one. This is Lambo Leap. Lambo Leap found you and just sent you over that free start set. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream. Okay. And then please let me know, everyone, when we hit 500 likes on the stream so we can send out some more free questions. But Cheddar, we are currently 1-1. We are 4th in this league out of 12 people in terms of future value, according to the league analyzer. In terms of points scored at the moment, we are at 9th which isn't great, but ultimately it's not the end of the world because we are 1-1. Now, in terms of who we are wanting to start this week, I'd be starting Kyler at quarterback, running back CMC, Chase Brown, wide receiver, I'd go Nico, and probably, I don't know if we're going to go Higgins or Jacoby wide receiver 2, but frankly, it doesn't matter because we got to start 8 players. So at the end of the day, we're going to start Kyler, McBride, CMC, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Nico, Higgins, and Jacoby Myers. Now, looking at this league, it is a start 8 format. So again, wide receiver depth is going to matter a bit more here because you can start 4 of these wide receivers weekly. I will say, however, that just because we can start 4 of these guys weekly doesn't mean I'm excited to go through and excited to get somebody like Dimey Brown, Cedric Tillman ever in our lineup. Like in best ball, definitely, because they will have some random usable weeks where they are solid options. But I don't know how you are ever going to predict when Dimey Brown is startable. Like, how are you ever going to know, okay, I can put him in my lineup? In comparison to the other wide receivers available on waivers, like Jaden Higgins, Kayshon Boutte, like all these other, they're all about the same, to be honest. So what I would do is I would go ahead and I would cut Dimey Brown. I'd pick up a running back that is an injury away from potentially being a league winner. So I'd cut Dimey Brown and I'd pick up, Byshell Tutin in that same offense. Then because it's a start 8 format, I don't necessarily think you need to have an elite QB. Like we're fine with Kyler. And then obviously we love having the elite tight end with McBride. Now looking at what we have at running back, super comfortable spot. CMC, RB1, incredible. Chase Brown, RB2, incredible. Kyron Williams looks like he's sliding, but Kyron Williams, RB3, incredible. So running back, really strong. I think we pick up Byshell Tutin, and he'll be similar to Rachaad White in that you can start him if you're extremely desperate, but ultimately you're just kind of looking at somebody that gives you the elite ceiling if their situation were to change. Now going over and looking at what we have with the wide receiver position, Nico Collins, wide receiver 1, pretty strong option. T. Higgins, wide receiver 2, whatever. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 3, I like that. Matthew Golden, wide receiver 4 with Quentin Johnson. Like, well, whatever when it comes to that depth. We have the running backs that we can put in the flex spots anyway. So overall, I really like what you have at receiver. I like your team a lot. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I'd go, you know what, man, you really got to go through and you really got to change some things here. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, I'd say like we really should try to make a trade where we send away like Kyron Williams with Kyler Murray and try to get to an elite QB. But with this being a start 8 format, I actually like building around the skill positional depth, which is exactly what we've done. We already have an elite tight end, so I don't think we can afford the elite quarterback in that instance. So I really like your team. I think you just go ahead, you cut Dimey Brown, you pick up Byshell Tutin. And then, like I said, we just went through your starting lineup for this week as well. But I did send you over a couple of free questions as well if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to follow up, maybe not right now, but whenever you want with another start sit or trade question. But really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Now let's move this over to our next one. It's going to be Charles says, are there any moves you'd be looking to make with the squad? Thanks. Really enjoy your content and congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much, my guy. Let me send you over some free questions before we pull anything up. It is a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So here, the skill positional depth, not going to matter at all. I would love having an elite quarterback. I would love having an elite tight end if possible. Now, we are currently first in the league analyzer with value. We've scored 267 points. So we are also first in the league analyzer with, first in the league with points scored, which is absolutely great. Looking at what we have when it comes to the quarterback position, we are currently sitting with Patrick Mahomes and Drake May. So we can play the matchups between these 2 QBs weekly. If this was a 12-team format, I would love it. 10-team league where you're going to have 4 owners in your league with Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels. Like, we are kind of behind the 8 ball here at QB. Not the end of the world, but not the most exciting QB room. Looking at what we have when it comes to running back, James Cook, Devon Achane, RB1, RB2, incredible. Ja'Cory Cross-Camara, Zach Charbonnet, Isaiah Pacheco, okay depth. Looking at what we have at wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, wide receiver 1. Cortland Sutton, wide receiver 2. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 3. And then we have the long-term upside play of Xavier Worthy, of Jordan Addison. And then tight end, we have Sam Laporta, Harold Fannin. So this is a very well-balanced roster. You can see this with the league analyzer. We're 6th at quarterback, 2nd at running back, 3rd at wide receiver, 5th at tight end. I would say, like, if Xavier Worthy comes back and Jordan Addison comes back, and then all of a sudden these guys are startable, I would probably want to go ahead and I'd probably want to try to sell like Garrett Wilson or Cortland Sutton in a 2-for-1 deal with one of the quarterbacks, see if we can get to an elite QB. Like if you could go Garrett Wilson and Mahomes to get to Jaden Daniels, let's do it. But I don't necessarily think that's something that we want to be doing right now. I think instead that's something that we want to be waiting on, and we just need to get Xavier Worthy and Jordan Addison back in. So, I mean, if you were making a trade, like I said, I don't think you do anything right now. I think you wait a couple weeks and then you send a receiver for an elite QB. And then waiver wire wise, I would probably cut Harold Fannin for David Njoku, just given the options that you have with their respective offenses. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me make sure I sent you over. Yeah, I sent you over those free questions as well, in case there's anything that you want to follow up with. But let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be from Mindering. Says, after the draft, we were ranked first. Rookie's disappointing and Burrow getting hurt, so drop for Danny Dimes and Drake May to play the matchups. Team gets better talent later in the season, but not sure what to do in the short term. We feel cooked. And also not sure if we should be playing Travis Hunter or Quinshon Judkins in the flex. Please help. Full PPR. Oh, this is a half PPR league. This is tough. Can you all spam the chat? Would you go Travis Hunter or Quinshon Judkins? I'll tell you a lot of weeks going forward, it's maybe going to be Judkins, but this week in particular where the Browns have to play the Packers there, I'm not super excited to do so. Now, in general, when it comes to us loading up our team with rookies, where we have the long-term value, but nothing in the short term, our strategy is going to be based off where we currently sit in this league. So while we are dead last in this league in points scored so far this season, we are lucky to be 1-1, so we still have some flexibility. And the chat goes Judkins, Hunter, Judkins, Judkins, Hunter, Judkins, Judkins, Hunter, Judkins, Hunter, Judkins, Hunter, Judkins, 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 Hunter, Judkins. So it looks like most people are there with Quinshon. Again, my only hesitation is it's a really tough matchup this week. But actually, yeah, no. Okay, well, anyway. So you went through and you 100% drafted a team for the second half of the season, right? I'm not going to say this was a bad or a good thing. It's just what we did. We drafted a team that was going to struggle no matter what at the beginning of the year, but with the hope that it was going to be very good by the end of it. Looking at what we have when it comes to the rookies, you have Trevion, Quinshon Judkins, Travis Hunter. Then adding on the injured / suspended players. You have Mixon, Rice, Godwin. So naturally we took 6 players that weren't going to do much this year, but you are chasing the long-term upside for. But you're 1-1. Our lineup this week is Bucky Irving, Jordan Mason. Here's what happened with your team. Your team's okay. We're leaving this as is. And who you need to think is you need to think Jordan Mason. If it wasn't for the Aaron Jones injury and Jordan Mason turning into just an auto lock, must start running back every week for the next month, you would be in a world of pain. But now that you have Jordan Mason that you can put in there, we can live to fight another day. Now, I think eventually we are going to go through, and eventually we are going to try to make a trade to get an elite quarterback. But you need to wait before you can make any trade selling your running back or a wide receiver until Trevion, Judkins, Mixon, Rashee Rice, Chris Godwin, Travis Hunter, a couple of these guys look viable. And it's going to eventually happen. I can't tell you when. I can't tell you exactly who. But you should have some breakouts from some of these guys later in the year. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Looking at the waiver wire, like there are solid names like Khalil Shakir and Rashad White. I would probably cut Braylon Allen for Rashad White. I would consider cutting Kupp for Shakir, but you can wait until after this week to see what Kupp looks like. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But again, you just got to wait for those players to come back. And then at that point, we're going to trade for the elite quarterback once we have the skill positional depth. Miles, it looks like you submitted a screenshot of your team with the League Analyzer. You can actually go through the process and submit your team. If your team's linked, you can just submit it where it loads in automatically for me and everything. So let me send you over a free team review. And then just, if you don't mind resubmitting that correctly, I would be happy to look at it. But this way I can look at other teams in the league. I can look at your ranking. I can look at your record. I can look at your points for. I can look at your waiver wire options. But Gnarls, always happy to see us. So starting 0-2, but looks like I may lose this week. Oof. Any trades I should do or wait? Possibly send JJ and Connor for Saquon. What are your thoughts? Your league settings, I would send Justin Jefferson and James Conner for Saquon Barkley for sure. Now, we are Silence of the Lamb. We are currently second in the league with value. We are right in the middle of the league with total points as well. So, I mean, it's not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. What's our points against? Yeah, you've had 275 points scored against you. So, you are second to the bottom with points against so far this season, which is just brutal. But it's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So in a league like this, you are highly incentivized to just make 2-for-1 deals, get improvements inside the starting lineup while selling depth. So it looks like the Tucker Kraft and Jaden Daniels injuries are going to be impacting us. Looks like Tucker Kraft's going to play. But at the same time, of course, we can say that you probably see Kraft a little bit limited, I would imagine. And then obviously having to play Caleb Williams instead of Jaden Daniels isn't super exciting. It is nice this 1 week with a decent matchup for Caleb, though. Now, looking at what we have with running back, this is another team where it feels like Jordan Mason saves you. Where if you didn't have Jordan Mason, you'd be screwed. If you're having to roll out Amari Hampton and James Conner in a 10-team league in week 3, like it would be GG's, time to pack it up. But you getting Jordan Mason in here puts you at a really good spot. So now we can start Jordan Mason, James Conner. I like the idea of making that trade for Barkley where we send Jefferson and Conner for Barkley. I would do it for Bijan. I would do it for Gibbs. In your league settings, I may even do it for CMC, Jonathan Taylor. Because we go over to wide receiver, we are the number 1 team in this league at wide receiver. We currently are sitting with Lamb, Jefferson, Tet, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Jerry Jeudy. So we have a tremendous amount of upside at the top, and we have a tremendous amount of depth as well. And then tight end, we have Tucker Kraft. So it doesn't look like we have to do anything here. So ultimately, I'm in 100% agreement with you. Let's sell Jefferson and try to go get an elite running back, even if you have to include James Conner in that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's even relevant. I don't think there's anything else that's relevant. I mean, obviously, if nobody's interested in Jefferson, we can go down and look at selling like Tet and James Conner and instead getting a running back in the Bucky Irving range. If we could do that, that'd be phenomenal. But I think plan A is, yeah, just send Jefferson and James Conner to get to the best running back you possibly can. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me make sure that we sent you over those free questions. That way, if there's anything that you want to follow up with, I'd be happy to take a look at it for you. But let's move this over to our next question. This is going to be coming out from McCollum. It says, would love an overall team review for rest of season. Redraft 12-team full PPR. What potential moves do we need to make? Concerned about my running backs after a slow start with the rookies. Thanks, man. Thank you. Super excited to check this out. So we are in a league in which depth matters a considerable amount. So 12-team start 8 format. We are 5th in the league when it comes to value. We are 4th in the league with points for. We are 2-0 though. So we are 2nd in the league standings at the moment. Now looking at what we have at quarterback and tight ends, we have Jalen Hurts and we have Tyler Warren. If you combine them, we have Jalen Warren. But if we are looking at the options currently on waivers, like none of them are particularly interesting. Like Loveland does have a lot of upside rest of season, but like the thing is, you're never going to start any of those waiver wire quarterbacks. You're never going to start any of those waiver wire tight ends over who we currently have. And you actually have solid options on waivers at other positions, such as running back with Joe Mixon. Now, of course, we've had like no updates whatsoever with Mixon. So it is a little bit frustrating. But I would still probably cut Alec Banner for Mixon if possible. Because wide receiver is just so much stronger than running back with your team. Running back, like we have Jalen Warren, and I guess like you're choosing between Hampton and Judkins in the short term. Long term, running back's great, right? You just got to give the rookies some time. But short term, you're not in a great spot. So I would cut Alec Manor for Joe Mixon. It's a double flex format. So if you were to sell a wide receiver for a running back, you're just filling one hole but starting another. As ultimately you're in a spot in which like the bottom end players you're going to be trading for, they would just be going in your flex. Like they're in your lineup regardless. Like the best player on your bench at the moment is maybe Juwan Jennings, and nobody's trading for Juwan Jennings. So I would just cut Manor. I would pick up Mixon. I'm not doing anything else other than that. I think you have a really strong team. And especially because you're 2-0, so you can afford to give time for those rookie running backs to break out. It's not like you're 0-2 and you need to panic sell Hampton at a low point, Harvey at a low point, Judkins at a low point. But I really appreciate you. Really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. And yeah, thank you so much again for being a member of the flock. But Riley, appreciate you joining as a YouTube member. And McCollum, this is going to be a Dynasty league, so we will save this for a Dynasty live stream. And let's actually move over and let's get some quick questions going real quick. Let's answer some start sit. Let's answer some trades. Gabe says we had 500 likes in the stream, so let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions. If y'all are wanting to win some free questions, all you got to do is drop a like on this live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chats. And I will pull up that page so I can know where to send y'all your questions. Okay. Let me see. How many team reviews do we have? As I feel like we've done a decent amount so far today, stream. But sometimes they're deceiving. They stack up on you. One thing that we need to do is, the devs know this, but I need to have like a count where I know how many team reviews we're behind. In general, again, we've been getting backed up too much where I've been having to turn them off. But actually, not too bad here. We'll definitely have to do some of these tomorrow morning, but let's count this. 1, 2, 3. Give me 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 18. 27. We got like 30 team reviews. But anyway, so let's send this over. We're sending that free question out. This is Turtles Trade. Appreciate hanging out with us in the stream, my friend. Let me go ahead and send you over that free question. Just sent that your way, and you can ask start set whenever you want now. And if y'all haven't already, go down there, drop a like on the stream, and let me know when we hit 600 likes, and we'll send out some more free questions. But LT Squid, here at wide receiver, I think you actually go Flowers over Rome at this point. I mean, again, that Baltimore Ravens game is going to be the highest scoring game on the week against the Lions, or at least that's what we are being told at the moment with sportsbooks. And then down here, we're going to go Rome, and then probably Marv versus Higgins. The projections are a lot better with T. Higgins than they are with Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison just simply hasn't had the consistent target volume. I have them ranked at 30 and 31 in my rankings this week. I think it is going to be up to you. For sure play Rome. For sure play Flowers. For sure bench Hunter. And then T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison, it's up to you. I think most people tell you Marv, though. Now, DA for wide receiver, we have no worthies. So it's between Wandale, Matthew Golden, Christian Kirk, and Downs. I'd probably go Downs, to be honest. I know Wandale's been much, much better, but I'm expecting serious regression there. Oh, dear God. Oh, this is a 14-team league. I think we go Scat in one of the flex spots, looking like the starting back for the Giants. Here's what a smart person would say. A smart person would say, you got to go Wandale Robinson. Wandale Robinson has scored almost 40 fantasy points this year. Where if we're looking at Matthew Golden scored 5. So I think most smart people would tell you to go with Wandale. If this was my team, though, I may be dumb enough to put in Matthew Golden with all the injuries with the Packers. Okay, now Combat says, with this combination of elite talent, who am I starting? 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. 2 running backs, Jordan Mason Gibbs, 2 wide receivers, Brian Thomas, Tet, 2 flexes, Kamara and George Pickens. It looks like there are just going to be a ton of games for the Dallas Cowboys where they project to have incredibly high totals because how bad their defense is. Now, Oak 28 with our next question. Here, wide receiver. It's between Rome, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Adams. We have a flex too. The flex is going to be another wide receiver here. We're definitely not going to be looking at a running back over any of these names. I think I'm going to go with Rome against the Cowboys. That game should be super high scoring. And then I'm probably going to go A.J. Brown in the flex spot, assuming that the squeaky wheel gets greased. So I do think that A.J. Brown will throw an absolute fit if he goes 3 weeks without being heavily involved in the offense. Now, Palladino with our next one. Here for the flex between Ramondre and DeAndre Swift, I'm going to go Swift. I understand that he's been banged up and maybe this expands the role for Monungai, but outside of garbage time, DeAndre Swift's just been the 3-down running back in Chicago. And I know you can say the same thing with Ramondre, but I think Trevion Henderson's a way bigger threat than Kyle Monungai. Now, Heaven with our next one, Swift and Olave versus Jaden Daniels. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, where we don't need DeAndre Swift. We are never starting Olave here either. So, yeah, go out there and get the quarterback upgrade. If this was like a 12-team start 8 format, I would say probably not. But 10-team start 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Let's go for it. Okay. Now, Gradams, this is Baker versus Jordan Love. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield's. I just think the Packers are going to be able to run the ball and play defense well against the Browns. Gibbs, HN, the obvious auto starts at running back. Wide receiver, we're going to go Metcalf, no Christian Gonzalez. And then your other wide receiver spot, we're going to go Ricky Pearsall with Jennings banged up. And then for the flex, no Worthy, no Godwin. It's between Travis Hunter, Hollywood, and Scat. I'll probably go with Travis Hunter and hope that we get the big play upside, but the volume and the floor would be with Hollywood Brown. Now, Snarling Brush, this is Olave and Mike Evans versus Montgomery, Shaheed, and Ladd. Evans the Ladd slide upgrade. Olave to Montgomery lateral move. You get Shaheed, who doesn't matter at all. Do you need a running back? You don't need a running back. I think it's a fair deal. It's going to be up to you. If you really needed a running back, I'd say sure, go for it, but I think you're fine as of now. Okay. Now, let's move this over to GG. It's a trade. It says, worried about running back after the deal. So, in general, I love this price. I would love to go out there and get Puka Nacua and Amari and Hampton for the combo of Bucky and Mike Evans. I think Puka's in a different tier, and I think Amari and Hampton has late season upside. But if you're telling me in a 10-team league, you would all of a sudden be starting Saquon Barkley and Quinshon Judkins, you probably got to keep Bucky in that instance. Even though, again, I would, in general, agree that the Puka price is very interesting. Okay. Now, CJ Sick is trading Rashad White, Nico Collins for Ashton Genty. Nico versus Genty, you can tell that I have them ranked back to back. I think it's up to you. You're just essentially paying a waiver wire player to get it done. Running back, you just lost Tracy. So realistically, you have no running back 2 that you're excited about starting right now. So for you, I'm completely fine if you wanted to go out there and get Ashton Genty. Now, like a good neighbors, we have Montgomery, Higgins, Worthy, Kincaid for Scat, Myers, and McBride. Higgins to Myers, slight downgrade. Montgomery to Scat, slight downgrade. I'd way rather have McBride over Worthy and Kincaid. So yeah, we're going to go with the Trey McBride side of this. Vincino trading JCM, Darnell Mooney, and Igbuka for Kyron and Matthew Golden. Give me Golden over Mooney, JCM and Igbuka versus Kyron Williams. It's a league in which depth actually matters. This is just going to be a judgment call on you. If it was a 10-team league where you only started 2 wide receivers in a flex, I would say go get Kyron. But giving up the additional starter with Igbuka here is actually going to be a little bit tougher in this format. Now, Donkey with our next one. Here for the flex, we're going to go Chris Olave and Devonta Smith. I think you keep it stupid simple. Full PPR format. Travis Hunter, we don't know the role. Nick Chubb, cap ceiling. And Amari Hampton, we're just waiting for him to become viable. Now, it's Archie with our next question. Here for the flex. Tony Pollard gives you a 3-down workload, and Drake London, safe play. I guess maybe you don't have to start a tight end in your league, so like McBride is in line as an option. But if you're looking at Tony Pollard, Pollard's a lock for 20 opportunities, at least based off what we've seen the first 2 weeks. Especially if you think that this game could potentially be close against the Indianapolis Colts if the Colts come back down to earth just a bit. Now, Bitter Hornet trading JCM for Javonte. It's Javonte, not remotely close. We have yet to see it from Ja'Cory Cross-Humerit. Has upside. Don't get me wrong. But we've yet to see anything from him. Now, Eric with our next one. Here for the flex. I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall over Terry McLaurin. You have Juwan Jennings banged up. Not only do you have Jennings banged up, but obviously you have no Jaden Daniels as well. Like it's close. I would not consider any of the running backs here, though, for sure. Brady for the flex. Terry McLaurin versus Olave. Give me Olave. Again, McLaurin, we've yet to see him be viable. And at the same time, you have no Jaden Daniels. And I think having no Daniels is going to negatively impact Terry more than it would negatively impact Debo based off the area of the field that they draw their respective targets. Now, Cheddar Rig here at wide receiver. We're going to go T. Higgins over Quentin Johnston. And in the flex, I think we will go with Quentin Johnston. This is one of the few times we've told somebody to start Johnson so far this season. I mean, it's been nice having our underdog best ball bags print, but I will say I think that the touchdowns regress. The volume's probably going to go more so towards Ladd in the future. So while I really hope that Quentin Johnson continues to play the way that he has, I don't think it's a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, let's move over to our next one. This is Jace DeZonzi trading Jalen Warren and Josh Downs for Braylon Allen and Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall versus Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren looks like he's going to be the winner in the short term, but I've been operating under the assumption that Jalen Warren eventually is not going to be viable, but maybe we are wrong here. Let me see what we have at running back after. You can't start Hampton right now, so man, you got to keep Jalen Warren for now. I think long term, you can definitely look at selling Warren once we have Amari and Hampton coming on strong. But short term, when we're not wanting to start Hampton, it's a much tougher sell. Now, Baby Suzuki GG with our next one. Here, the current best option we have on the bench is Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. If we were to, or I guess it's actually James Conner. I would start James Conner over Ramondre Stevenson. Well, I understand, that you've had Ramondre with back-to-back games over 60% of the snaps in New England. We've seen a large sample of disappointing football play from Ramondre Stevenson. For us to just completely forget about that after one good week, when you still have the possibility of Trevion Henderson expanding his role any minute now. Now, Vay says, will this blow up my team? The wide receiver room feels too good and need a running back. Wide receiver left over, you'll have Rome, Tet, Marr, Pittman. Yeah, we're fine. I think based off how bad the Minnesota Vikings offense looks, it is completely justified to trade Montgomery and Jefferson for Bijan. I think you go for it. Now, Owl with our next one. Running back, we're going to go with Brees. Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to go Chase Brown. We're going to end up starting Brees here anyway in the flex. And then we're going to go with Jamo over Marv. I want to be starting as many Lions and Ravens as we can. That game should be the highest scoring game of the week. Now, Bear Mauling says traded Judkins, Andrews for Warren after Thursday night kickoff. So running back, we have Kenneth Walker, Brees probably in our starting lineup. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, London, Pickens. And then in the flex, we'll go with Travis Etienne. And then, so you said we traded for Tyler Warren after Thursday night kickoff. Which, obviously you could have afforded it. But absolutely hilarious that somebody traded for Mark Andrews. Let's see this. K. Soliner says, in Higgins we trust. God bless Mason. God bless my friend. And God bless T. Higgins as well. We're going to go Tony Pollard here in the flex for sure. And then I guess you are starting T. Higgins over Ricky Pearsall. Like, you also have backup quarterback play in San Francisco. Now, I think that the quarterback downgrade from Purdy to Mac Jones is they are closer than Burrow and Browning, respectively. But still, it's a tough scene regardless. Okay. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is Manny. A running back, give me Amari and Hampton, Jonathan Taylor over Gainwell and Rachaad White. Wide receiver, Jamar and A.J. Brown. Tight end, Tyler Warren. And then there in the flexes, we're going to go with Keenan Allen. And I'm probably going to go Romeo Doubs. I know Kayshon Bouttie's the more exciting play, but Doubs just gives you the guaranteed role and the guaranteed snaps and the Green Bay Packers offense. Like, if you're looking at Boutte had one target this past week. Okay. Let me pull this back over. Let's get back to some of the team reviews that we need to do. Okay. So McCollum is a Dynasty one. Let's do this one for Bones. All right, Bones, appreciate you, my guy. Excited to check this out. And let me go ahead and let me send you over some free questions before we even get into this. This is 1-1 for the year. Thoughts on what I could do with the team. Considering trading Genty and Marv in a 2-for-1 deal, but nobody biting. Should we maybe hold on? Thank you, man. And just curious about your thoughts. Been a member for 3 years now. Really appreciate you, my guy, and really excited to check this out. So we are second in the league analyzer with value. We are first in the league, though, with points. And one thing that I do need to mention is if you were selling Ash and Genty, the expectations are you're selling them at a loss. Like, I mean, if you were to be able to sell Ash and Genty at the same cost you drafted them at, of course we would. But realistically, I just don't know who's trading for Ash and Genty right now. Now, I'm a crazy person. I would. But from what I've seen in these live streams, it doesn't seem like many people have interest. Looking at what we have with the league settings, 12 teams start 8, full PPR format. So wide receiver depth going to matter a considerable amount here. Like you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So I mean, you've been with us forever. Typically, a lot of these times I look at these rosters, I'm like, yeah, 2-for-1 deal. Let's send Marvin Genty, go get a better running back. Let's send Marvin Kyler and go get a better quarterback. But the wide receiver depth matters in our league in a way in which I think that you're probably incentivized to maybe hold on to some of this wide receiver depth. Like, looking at our starting lineup this week, we're throwing out Kyler, Taylor, Genty, Puka, Marv, Rome, Smith, Tyler Warren. You trade Marvin and Genty in a 2-for-1 deal to get a better running back. All of a sudden, who are we putting in a flex? Troy Franklin? We're starting Troy Franklin on a team that has no injuries, that is not dealing with a single bye week. Maybe that seems like okay right now, but once we get to the buys, you're going to find yourself in a world of pain. And the thing is, we go over to the waiver wire, and the waiver wire doesn't really have a ton of options. It's not like we can say, oh yeah, let's go through and make this deal, and then we can just backfill with another wide receiver. No, I mean, in this league, the best waiver wire options are like Tank Bigsby, Ollie Gordon, Jeremy McNichols. So, probably not super excited to pick up any waiver wire options. I'm kind of against the 2-for-1 trade here. Like, I would probably prefer holding on to the depth. I don't mind selling Marv, but the thing with selling Marv is you have Kyler, so you already kind of made the concentrated bet on the Arizona Cardinals. So I don't necessarily think you need to sell Marv. I love your team. You're number 1 in the league with points scored. And it's with a rookie running back like Ash and Genty, who's been disappointing and will be better going into the future. It's with Devonta Smith, who's done absolutely nothing. There's no way Smith isn't better in the future. So you're already number 1 in your league with points scored, and I think it's going to get better as time goes on. So I hate to say this, my guy. I don't like the idea of that trade. I don't like the idea of making any trades with your team. If you could pivot from Marv to a wide receiver that you like more, just a natural 1-for-1 deal, then sure, let's do it. But I would want to keep this as is. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. And like I said, I sent you over those free questions. So I would be happy to go ahead and follow up with anything that you want here, my guy. But let me address a couple different things real quick. First thing is going to be Tyler says, why doesn't the Flock website let me choose Mason for the start set questions? So we are just backed up on questions at the moment. So the only way that you can send in a start sit or a trade question is if you have a free voucher for one of those, which how you can get a free voucher is if you're an annual Mother Flocker on the site with code FLOCK, you get free vouchers every year. If you got the season pass with code FLOCK, you should have free vouchers that way. Or we give out free vouchers in the live chat. And it looks like we just hit 600 likes on this stream. So we're going to send out some more free questions right now. And again, all you got to do to get those free questions will be to drop a like on the live stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat so I know who to send that question to. But let me go ahead and pull that page up and get ready to send those questions out. Okay. Let's refresh this. And yeah, drop your username in the chat so we know who to send it to. We'll send this out to Kebab Carrots. Kebab Carrot. Just found you on the site and just sent you over that free start sit. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, my guy. And let me know when we hit 700 likes on the stream, and then we'll go ahead and we'll send out some more free questions. Okay. But let's dive into this team for Jay Ferrier. So starting off 0-2 with the least points scored, a rough 83-point first week and lost week 2 by 10. I feel like this team is missing a piece to becoming elite. Would like to know what moves or trades I can make to get a better team and start winning. Daniel's currently on the IR. I would appreciate any help. Appreciate you, my guy, and excited to check this out. We are 4th in the league when it comes to future value. However, we are dead last in this league with an 0-2 record, and at the same time, we are currently dead last in points. So not a super exciting spot, to say the least. Now, looking at what we have at quarterback, we just lost Jaden Daniels for the short term, but we're able to put him on the IR. We have Michael Penix that we can play as well. I'm fine with you streaming Michael Penix over the other options like Lawrence, like Stroud this week, because Michael Penix, of course, does have a pretty good matchup here going up against the Carolina Panthers. Now, looking at what we have at running back, this is a league in which you can start up to 6 skill positional options weekly. So the depth at running back and the depth at wide receiver is going to matter a bit here. A running back, we have Josh Jacobs. Kenneth Walker looks to be a league winner with no Zach Charbonnet until Charbonnet comes back. We have Javonte and we have Jordan Mason. So here's what just happened with your team. To be completely honest with you. Your ass just got saved. You got saved with the Aaron Jones injury and with the injury as well to Zach Charbonnet. Because now with both these guys out, it does look like Josh Jacobs is going to absolutely crush as your RB1. Kenneth Walker will crush as your RB2. Jordan Mason as your RB3 is phenomenal. And then Javonte's in your last flex. And then we have the upside down here with Cam Scat, with Byshell Tootin, and with Tyrone Tracy. Incredible at running back. Wide receiver, we have Nico, we have Rome, we have Hunter, we have Devonta Smith. So I would say typically, 0-2 team, dead last in points. Looking at a player like Travis Hunter, maybe you need to go through and sell him because obviously he's not producing in our starting lineup now, and we can't afford to wait until he breaks out. We need points right now so we can start winning games right this second. But this is a unique spot. This is a unique scenario. Because you have Jordan Mason turning into an every week start no matter what in your flex. So with that context, you're starting Nico Rome at wide receiver and then you're not considering anybody else. So now I would say that you're in a situation which you shouldn't do anything. Looking at waiver wire pivots, I don't even see any that make sense for us. Now, again, you are 0-2. So if you wanted to go out of your way and you wanted to make sure that we can get some points in this starting lineup and we can start winning right now, you can offer like Travis Hunter and Jaden Daniels to try to pivot over to an elite quarterback that's producing at the moment. Try to pivot over to Josh Allen. Try to pivot over to Lamar Jackson. By all means, if you can, you would. But again, it's just much easier said than done. And then same thing, if you could sell Devonta Smith and Jaden Daniels to go get the elite quarterback now so you don't have to wait to see if eventually we're going to get Daniels back next week, blah, blah, blah. If you want to make sure we don't go to 0-3, then you can do that. But the reality is, great team. Your ass got saved by these running backs turning into league winners. I think you're in a really good spot. I wouldn't do anything with this roster. But I really appreciate you. Really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with us with. But let's move this over to our next question. This is going to be coming out from the Josh B. Says, 0-2 start. Should I try shopping Amon-Ra for some immediate points or wait until after week 4? He has a good matchup against the Giants. Any other trade ideas? Thanks in advance. Keep up the hard work, Mason. Really appreciate you. And I will say, in general, I am an Amari and Hampton guy. At this point, with where his cost is, I think Amari and Hampton's going to be much better going into the future. And I do not want to sell Amari and Hampton on the vast majority of teams. However, if you are 0-2 and we need points in the lineup ASAP, then you may not have the flexibility for us to say he's going to get better, hold on to him. You may have no choice but to go through and look to move on. Now, we are currently, in terms of value on this roster into the future, second in the league analyzer. In terms of points so far this season, we are second to last. But it looks like the reason for that is we overloaded our team with rookies that naturally aren't going to produce early in the year, but you draft them for their late season upside. We have Amari and Hampton, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, Cam Scadaboo, Braylon Allen, so 4 rookie running backs. We have Travis Hunter as the rookie wide receiver. We have Jordan Addison as a suspended name. So we have 6 of these players on our team right now that you would say project to kind of be nothing right now, but give you a ton of long-term upside. Now, with that in mind, I would say you are so far behind that we can't afford to fall to 0-3, 0-4. So I completely understand if you wanted to go through and sell some of the long-term upside and get improvements inside the starting lineup right now. What that would probably look like is that would probably look like us going through and selling. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So Travis Hunter and probably Amari and Hampton in a 2-for-1 deal to try to get an upgrade elsewhere, which I think would be very compelling for the reason as well that the options on the waiver wire are pretty good in your league. Like, you could actually go out there and you could get some exciting names. Like RJ Harvey is out there on waivers right now. I would absolutely love to pick up RJ Harvey for free. Like, I would take it one step further. I'm fine dropping Byshell Tuten for RJ Harvey right now. I think Harvey's going to be in the better offense, so he's a higher ceiling that way. And at the same time, he has the draft capital. I wouldn't be surprised if he just ends up earning the job over J.K. Dobbins. So I would drop Tuten. I would pick up R.J. Harvey. And I would consider dropping Jawan Jennings with the injuries for Michael Pittman Jr. or for Jerry Jeudy. But looking at other things that we could do, instead of dropping those players, if you wanted to go, you know what, Amari and Hampton and RJ Harvey, they're kind of comparable names. Why don't I try to send Amari and Hampton and Harold Fannin to go get to a top 3 tight ends and then pick up RJ Harvey for free? That could be very exciting. If you wanted to try to send the combination of Travis Hunter and Baker Mayfield to go get an upgrade at quarterback, and then you pick up Michael Pittman Jr. for free off waivers, you can go about it that way as well. So ultimately, yes, I would like making a 2-for-1 deal by selling some of the future value, but players that aren't going to be producing in the short term, and that way we can just backfill with the exciting names off waivers anyway. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much, of course, for being a member of the flock. And I think your team's good in the long term, but you just need to start winning some games now. Now, this is a Dynasty team for Mecro, so we're going to save this for a dedicated Dynasty live stream. Let's move this over to Tolly. Says, didn't even put up 100 points last week. Trying to trade to consolidate, but can't find anything. Any suggestions on how to improve? In parentheses, is Hampton cooked? I am Team Hampton at this point. In terms of his cost, if you were to sell him, I think the majority of teams should be looking to hold on to Amari and Hampton. The scenario in which I'd want to sell is we're 0-2. We need points in this starting lineup right this second. We can't afford to wait. Now, looking at what we have with future value, we are first in this league, according to the league analyzer. However, in terms of current points, we are third to last. Now, I will say what's really nice here is you're 1-1. So you have the flexibility where you don't need to panic and you don't need to go through and sell the rookies, sell a suspended player right this second to get points into this lineup. And very similar to the team that we looked at before this, you're in a similar boat. Look at the team that you drafted. 2 rookie running backs with Hampton and Harvey. 2 rookie receivers with Tet Egbuka. And then a suspended player with Rashee Rice, and then another rookie with Tyler Warren. So we have 6 either rookies that we're relying on or suspended players. So naturally, the expectation with the roster like yours is you're going to be bad at the beginning of the year. So I wouldn't stress much. The reason being you're 1-1. So you do have the flexibility, honestly, where you don't have to panic. You don't have to sell Rashee Rice right away. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Your running back 2 at the moment is horrendous. So, I mean, I would go out there and I would, in your scenario, try to sell Marv and Isaiah Pacheco, Marv and Hampton, Marv and RJ Harvey, and get the best running back that you can. Try to get back somebody like Breece Hall. But I would assume that you're probably not going to be able to, with how disappointed people are with these running backs at the moment. And I think you're most likely going to end up just having to throw in Amari and Hampton into RB2, close your eyes, send up a prayer that we can get through the first 4 weeks and be 2-2, and then all of a sudden have one of these rookie running backs break out. But I would try selling Marv and Amari and Hampton right now to try to get the best running back we can in return. Because at wide receiver, I mean, you can backfill easily with London, Tet, Egbuka, and then you have Rice in the long term. In terms of waiver wire pivots, where I think running back's a bigger concern for us than the other positions, I would cut Jordan Love. Like, you don't need Love here. Looking at the options on the waiver wire, like Goff's out there, Purdy's out there. So by the time you get to the week 7 bye week, you'd be able to find somebody to fill in for Lamar. I would cut Jordan Love. I'd pick up Byshell Tootin, and I would cut Khalil Shakir and pick up Rashad White. Is if you have an injury to Bucky, if you have an injury to Travis Etienne, you could see one of those other running backs turning into a league winner. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me send you over some of those. We already sent you over those free questions. So if you have anything that you want to follow up with, I'd be super happy to look at it for you. Now, let me move over to Jack M. Barack. We got to let the dog out. Y'all can see. Look at this little doggy. She heard something out there and she's wanting to see what it is. All right. Let's move this over to our next one. Jack M. Barack, longtime member of the flock. Always excited to see you. We are currently the #1 team in the league analyzer. And at the same time, we are second in this league in turn. This is insane. How the hell are you 1-1? We are second in this league with points 4. We are dead last in this league in points against. How could you possibly be 1-1? Let's pull this up. Okay, my guy. Why are we rostering Russ? What are we doing here? In what world are you ever putting this dude in your starting lineup? looking at the waiver wire, there are like 5 or 6 starters that we can play the matchup with in week 7 when we have the Lamar Jackson bye. So I would go ahead. I would cut Russell Wilson. Looks like your league mates know what they're doing, right? There aren't phenomenal options out there on the waiver wire. But it's a start 8 format. So, I mean, I would rather roster somebody like Luther Burden. You have the DJ Moore trade rumors. You have Ben Johnson saying they need to get Luther Burden more involved. So I would drop Russ. I would pick up Burden. And we still have an elite level quarterback with Lamar Jackson. So we're still chilling at QB regardless. Then going over to running back, yeah, you're going to end up just absolutely crushing here because of the Aaron Jones injury, making Jordan Mason a borderline RB1 in fantasy over the next at least month. So now you're starting Taylor and Jordan Mason every week. We have the long-term upside of Quinshon Judkins, absolutely phenomenal at running back. Wide receiver, we have Puka, wide receiver 1. So we have a better wide receiver 1 than most teams. We have JSN as wide receiver 2. So we have a better wide receiver 2 than anybody else in our league. We have AJ Brown as our wide receiver 3. So we should have a better wide receiver 3 than anybody else in our league. We have Travis Hunter as our wide receiver 4. So as of now, that not the most exciting. Like you maybe play Quinshon Judkins over him this week. But long-term, Travis Hunter should be great. So really the only position that sucks here is going to be tight end. Tight end, you have David Njoku. Njoku looks like he may be turning into the second tight end in the worst offense in the NFL, which of course is not the best. Looking at what you could potentially do trade-wise, however, nothing right now. Travis Hunter, you're not going to be able to sell for anything. AJ Brown, you can't sell for anything. It's a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly, so I'm not willing to trade JSN for McBride. I'm not willing to sell JSN for Bowers in a league like this. So I think you have an incredible team. I don't think I want to be making any trades. I think you cut Russ. You pick up either Luther Burden or a handcuff running back. Probably Luther Burden. And if you get one of the rookie wide receivers breaking out like Travis Hunter or Burden, then at that point we look to sell a wide receiver and go get an improvement at tight end. But for now, I think you're in a really good spot. And it's hilarious. Again, it blows my mind that we have the second most points in this league. And at the same time, we have the least points against. And somehow we're not 2-0. Crazy. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next team review. After this one, we'll pivot over and answer some of the quicker questions. Says, actually, we got another one from Jack and Barack. Let me just go back to back his teams here. This is BIP. All right. So this is also second in the league analyzer in terms of future value. 232 points scored. So we are halfway in the league in terms of points scored so far. We are 1-1, so this is kind of a similar setup to the team that we just looked at. Now, looking at what we have a quarterback here, we have Baker and we have Daniel Jones. So this is definitely the setup in which I'm fine with us rostering 2 QBs, right? Like you're definitely starting Baker Mayfield here most weeks, don't get me wrong. But it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world if you were to eventually get Daniel Jones in your starting lineup. Looking at what we have at running back, we currently are rolling with Kyron Williams, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, and Blake Corum. So this running back room we can get by with in the short term. Are we excited about it? No. But we can get by. Going over and looking at what we have at receiver. We have CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Deebo Samuel, Devonta Smith, Quentin Johnson, and Troy Franklin. So here's the expendable piece. Like this team, you do need to make a trade with, in my opinion. This team, I think you need to do whatever you can to sell one of your wide receivers in a 2-for-1 deal to go get an upgrade at running back. So it's going to depend on your league, right? I know in the Flock League, absolutely nobody wanted Tony Pollard. Like Zach did absolutely everything he could to sell Pollard and nobody would buy. I ended up selling Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt for Pollard before the Austin Eckler torn Achilles, which I stand by. That would have been a great move. Eckler didn't tear his Achilles. But if after tomorrow, Pollard has yet again another 3-down workload and looks like he is startable at running back. I would do what we could to sell Deebo Samuel and Pollard in a 2-for-1 deal to get an improvement at RB. Because I think in the long term, while I have Tony Pollard on my own team, I am a little bit concerned given the eventual addition that you're going to have with Tajay Spears. Because Pollard is viable at the moment just because you just have absolute crazy levels of volume where he is truly like the number one running back in the NFL when it comes to what you get with just pure snap rate, but that's not going to last. So I would eventually want to sell Pollard with Deebo and try to go get an upgrade at running back. Honestly, you could look to try to sell Deebo and Kyron to try to get an upgraded RB that way. And then you can just backfill with Josh Downs from the waiver wire. But yeah, I think here your wide receiver room being ranked first in the league and your running back room being 12th, and this being a league you can only start 2 wide receivers in a flex, I for sure want to be making that play to try to get a better running back. And then obviously quarterback, tight end, we can leave as is. Let me send you over a bunch of free questions, my guy. I know you're in a bunch of leagues and I'm going to help you as much as I can this year. So you should have at least like 6 free vouchers in your account. I'm sure you probably have more though. Okay. Let's mark this complete, and then let's move over and let's answer some of the quick questions. There's going to be the start, sit, trades, and I don't know if we have super messages open. So just really start, sit, and trades. Now, Otis with this question here. Trading Travis Etienne and Tet for Pacheco and Nico Collins. Okay. So Tet to Nico, clear upgrade. Pacheco's a 0. Running back, we have Henderson, Bijan, Javonte. I would say with the majority of leagues and the majority of teams, I want to keep the Travis Etienne side here. But with this being a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, with these specific league settings, I'm okay with us making the trade for Nico Collins. Now, let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be from Jesus. This is a massive deal. And I can tell you immediately it's the CMC side. I don't even need to think about this. Give me Neighbors over... Actually, no, I didn't even see Chase here. Well, let me think about this now. Give me Neighbors over Chase. Give me CMC over Genty. Here's the thing. If this was a trade that happened in the Flock League, it would be the Genty, Brian Thomas, Igbuka, and Jamar Chase side. But the thing is, this is a 10-team league where you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. So the depth doesn't matter as much. Looking at this, I would not make this deal with how it's situated. I think you take the big package. But if you wanted to make this deal, what would work is either a trade where you keep Daniels, they keep Kyler, or a trade where you just keep Brian Thomas. But I think that many assets probably is going to be difficult to come by. Difficult to do. Sorry, I didn't see Chase there initially. I just saw the top 4 assets. Garbanzo trading London for Brees and Igbuka. It's a super deep league. So if the league settings are accurate here, where this is a really, really deep league, then yeah, I think you go ahead and you get Brees and Igbuka. Now, a myth says, what do you think? Look at my team now. I filled it, so looking at this. Puka to Nico, clear downgrade, but you're getting Sutton and Swift. Here's the thing. If this was a league in which it was a 10-team format, options on the waiver wire were plentiful, I'd rather have Puka Nacua because Puka Nacua clearly is the best asset. But this is a 14-teamer. So this is a 14-team league. Swift and Sutton are like every week starts. And those starters are going to be harder to come by. So probably go ahead and take Swift and Sutton, but just because, again, the depth's going to matter a lot more in a 14-teamer. So I'd be willing to downgrade from Puka to Nico. Now, looking at what we have with sports. Calc says I lose, but the best player is Brown. It's a 10-team league where you start 2 receivers in a flex. So wide receiver, if you were to make this deal, you're starting Jefferson, Ladd. Running back, you're starting Chase, Jacobs, Pollard in the flex. I'm okay with doing this because of your league settings. But I do think the majority of people would probably rather have the Chuba Hubbard and Igbuka side in most league settings. But yours is just an extremely shallow roster where obviously you're loaded to the point at wide receiver where Igbuka doesn't matter much. Okay. Now, melon ball with our next one. Trading Worthy and Strange for Scat and Kelsey. We have Goddard at tight end. Here's my thing. I don't know if Goddard versus Kelsey is that different in the long term. Like, I would for sure rather have Kelsey now. But long term, when you eventually get Rice and Worthy back in, I think you have to lower expectations with Kelsey. But it looks like we're about to hit 700 likes on the stream. So if you haven't already, go down there and drop a like on this live stream. When we hit 700, we'll send out some more free questions in the chats. But Steiny with our next question. Here for running back, Jordan Mason's an auto start, man. Do not overthink it. Wide receiver, we're going to go Rome in a phenomenal matchup. Probably go A.J. Brown and Tet here. Actually, no, we have freaking Kyron. I'm going to have to think about this. Guys, we know you're... Oh, you have DJ Moore in the lineup right now. Oh, I thought... Am I going blind? Did I say that was Rome? Never mind. Take DJ Moore out, put Tet in, and then we're going to go Kyron Williams down in the flex. Yeah, sorry. I thought that was Rome Odunze. But if it's DJ Moore, you can bench DJ Moore. But it looks like we just hit 700 likes on the stream. So if you haven't already, go down there and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. All you need to do is qualify for those free questions. Will be drop your username in the chat and drop a like on the stream. Now let's move this over to our next one. This is Syntax. This is Javonte versus Garrett Wilson. I have them ranked back-to-back. You can tell in my rankings. At running back, you have Achane, Chase Brown, Trevion. So you have plenty of running back depth. If you just wanted to get the player that's probably more secure in the long run, you can go Garrett Wilson. Now, Cat in the Frat, here quarterback, give me Caleb over Bo Nix with the matchups this week. And then here in the flex, if this was a super flex, you're going to go with Bo. If it's a one quarterback, you go with Igbuka and hope that the injury does not matter. We'll get this for real W Cheese in a second. But let's first answer or send out a free question. We'll send this one out to Cone Dog. Appreciate you hanging out with us in the chat, my friends. Cone Dog. Just found you on the site and just sent you over that free start sit question. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream. Okay. So let's move this over to our next question. This is Real W Cheese, wide receiver between Rome and Brian Thomas. They are pretty close for me, to be honest. Rest of season, I definitely would rather have Brian Thomas. But this week in particular, Rome just gets the best matchup you could possibly ask for. Looking at the expert average ranks on the site, they have Brian Thomas. So no, they have Rome Odunze ahead of Brian Thomas. That's surprising. My rankings, I have them back-to-back at 12 and 13. It's going to be up to you there between those two players. Like I said, I have them back-to-back. I have Brian Thomas one spot higher at the moment, but I had Rome Odunze one spot higher earlier. And I'll say the rest of the experts on the site have Rome because Rome does have a phenomenal matchup. I'm boring, so I always lean on the side. It's week 3. Let me start the guy I probably took in round 1 or round 2. So if it was my team, I would probably go ahead and start Brian Thomas, but it could be the wrong call. Now let's move this over to our next one. This is Etz here at wide receiver between Olave Igbuka and Devonta Smith. Oh my gosh. So Igbuka with the injury is just very difficult to project out. I have him ranked as the highest play here. But if you have Kenneth Walker in your flex, your team is so loaded. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to play it safe and go with Olave. Now, M. Dottie here. For tight ends, give me Harold Fannin over Njoku and Goddard. And then for the flex, we're going to go with Pickens in what should be a very high scoring game environment. Now, Brian Paulus here, quarterback. We got Michael Penix over Fields with Fields not playing. And then for the flex, I'm going to go Kirk. I want to say the Lions and Ravens game projects to be the highest scoring game on the week. We should go through and we should try to get the Baltimore Ravens options in our lineup. But the thing is, the Baltimore Ravens offense has been elite this season. And what have we seen from these Baltimore Ravens names? Rashad Bateman this year has scored 6.5 points. He has 25 receiving yards. Mark Andrews this season has 7 receiving yards. So I think I go Kirk. Now, Golf Stallion trading Stafford and Jacobs for a first and Caleb Johnson in a Dynasty Superflex League. If you're a rebuilding team, this is a very fair price point to go and get the first and Caleb Johnson. I will say, it is time to panic with Caleb Johnson in Dynasty. The only rookie running back out of the struggling ones at the moment that I am worried about in Dynasty is Caleb Johnson. RJ Harvey will be fine. Amari Hampton will be fine. But Caleb, I think you can be concerned with. Now, getting the first, you just get so much flexibility. And the thing with Caleb Johnson is maybe he just turns into Trey Benson, right? He goes through that trajectory. And Trey Benson still had a tremendous amount of value in the offseason. But you clearly don't make that move unless you're a rebuilding team. Now, here for Runny Lamp, quarterback, give me Herbert over Kyler. Wide receiver, we're going to go with Tet. Tight end, Ertz. And then in the flex, I think I'm going to go with Pickens over Igbuka just because, again, the Pickens game environment should be great. And on top of this, you're in a spot where with Igbuka, we have the question marks surrounding his injury. Oh, let's move this over. Chazzy with our next one. Here for the flex, I think you have to get in Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker on Underdog at the moment is higher or lower 100.5 total yards. So I would play Kenneth Walker over Rome. I want to get Rome in. You could consider Rome over Evans now that Igbuka's playing. But at the very minimum, I think you need to go through and I think you need to play Kenneth Walker. Now, Lee Watley, always happy to see you. Here, the best option on the bench is Igbuka. And I think with no Daniels and with Igbuka being clear to go today, again, I am concerned. But I would play Igbuka over Debo with no Jaden Daniels. Now, our next question is going to be from DX Vin. Here for the flex, we have JCM, Amari Hampton, Ricky Pearsall. I'm going to go with Pearsall with Jawan Jennings banged up. Jennings is looking like a game time decision. Don't exactly know if he's going to play or not. But I think it's difficult, even if I want to be betting on an Amari and Hampton breakout later in the year, to be telling you that you have to jam Amari and Hampton in this week. So we'll go with Ricky Pearsall. Now, TFSC Rob, always happy to see us, says 0-2. Like Hampton long-term, but love DK's matchup with Gonzalez. Need a big-time win. Thanks. So it's a 14-team format, right? Let me just confirm. 14-team format where if we don't make this trade, let's just be on the same page here. Let's look at our starting lineup at the moment. Starting lineup at the moment is Jamar, Tet, and Igbuka, wide receiver. For running back, we get saved with the Jordan Mason breakout, so we're starting Jordan Mason and Kyron Williams. So you trading for Metcalf, you're effectively like upgrading over Igbuka here in the short term, but it may not even be an upgrade. It may just be a lateral move. So like Metcalf's like borderline to hit your starting lineup anyway with how strong your wide receiver room is already. And we're going to expect that like Addison comes in and makes it a little bit deeper. So because I don't think Metcalf gives you a dramatic improvement inside your starting lineup right now, I'd probably just hold on to the long-term upside with Hampton. Like I have Metcalf in the flock league and I would trade him for Hampton. Even though, like, actually, I don't even know if I can because if I had your wide receiver room, I would. But I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think here. Again, I think your team's too strong a wide receiver. I don't think you need Metcalf. Now, Skull Vikes, this is A.J. Brown, Jalen Warren versus Kenneth Walker and Rome Odunze. Yeah, give me Kenneth Walker and Rome Odunze here easily. And you're going to hope that Zach Charbonnet misses more time than just this week. Mitch Gonzalez trading Tet and Benson for Tootin and Ladd. I think Tet, Ladd, lateral move. Benson, Tootin, lateral move. Just going to be up to you. Now, Port 45 with the start set. Running back, Javonte and Genty will be the plays. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with Jacoby Myers. And then in the flex, we'll go with Kyron Williams. Jalen Warren would be the next best option. Youngstow, Kyron and Evans versus Bucky and Worthy. It is a 12-team start 8 format, so the depth's going to matter. After you do this wide receiver, we would have CeeDee Lamb and Stephon Diggs or CeeDee Lamb and Travis Hunter in our starting lineup. So I don't know if we can do this, to be honest with you. I think the value's on the Bucky Irving side, but your wide receiver room would be incredibly weak. Like in general, you want the Bucky side, but wide receiver is going to put you in a really bad spot. And just to make sure that everybody knows how the questions are set up on the site right now, is if you have the free vouchers that you either won just by hanging out with us in the live stream and dropping a like on the stream, or you got the free vouchers by being an annual member of the site or getting the season pass with code FLOCK, you should be able to submit start sit questions, trade questions at the moment. But you cannot just purchase a start sit or trade question because we are currently just too far behind and we're having to play catch up. Tomorrow morning, we should have everything on where you can purchase anything you want. But Hey, you just got to let me get caught up with all the questions that we have now. Okay. Now, Sean Dangster says, would it be too much to add in Hollywood or Jennings? Hollywood's almost worth nothing at this point. Who's our current tight end? Tyler. Oh, yeah, Tyler Warren. Hell yes. Go get Jackson Smith and Jigba. No, I mean, if they asked for you to add in Hollywood Brown, I know your league settings require some depth here, but still, it doesn't matter much. Okay. Now, AJ, this is DeAndre Swift and Garrett Wilson versus Javonte Williams. For me, I think Garrett Wilson and Javonte are comparable in value rest of season. And I think DeAndre Swift's still the very clear starting running back for the Chicago Bears. So I'm going to take Javonte. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson and DeAndre Swift. I would not want to make this deal. I understand in your league settings in particular, depth not going to be the most important thing. Generally, you want to be making 2-for-1 deals to get improvements inside the starting lineup. But I don't necessarily think that we can. Natty2 Swifty says, how do we use free questions at 800 likes? All you got to do is, if you win the free question, just submit it on the site. You should be able to see how to on the homepage. But yeah, whenever we hit 800 likes, we'll give away some more free questions in this stream. You can see the majority of the questions that we answer in these live streams are free. So, and we give away a ton of free questions every single night. Live stream every single day answering questions. All you got to do is drop a like on the live stream and be subscribed to the channel. And let me know when we hit 800 likes and we'll send out some more free questions. Okay. But let's get this next one for, I believe Jason will be our next team review. It says, just traded Devonta Smith and Javonte Williams for Kenneth Walker and A.J. Brown, then traded Kenneth Walker and DJ Moore for Jacobs and Wandale. I have some guys who want James Conner. So we are currently third in the league analyzer with value. I will say I don't love trading for Wandale Robinson specifically, but like the Josh Jacobs side of this. We are third in the league analyzer with value. We are second in this league with points. We are currently 1-1 at the moment. This is a league in which depth is going to matter a bit more because it's a start 8 format. Now, it looks like it's going to be a half PPR league. If that is true, then what we probably want to be doing is building around running back depth, because we would opt to get running backs in the flex spots if we can. But it does look like we just hit 800 likes in the chat, so we'll go ahead and we'll give away some free questions. Just all you got to do to get that free question is drop a like on the stream and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat so I know who to send it to. But looking at your team as well, just quick glance, obviously just find a quarterback. We have Jalen Hurts. 4th in the league at running back, 2nd in the league at wide receiver, 8th in the league at tight ends. So if we were looking at possibly making a move here, tight end would be the position that we are interested in. I would say with the Evan Ingram back injury, at this point, I'm okay with just dropping Evan Ingram. I would rather just pick up Loveland. I know Loveland's not going to be doing anything. He's not hitting your starting lineup, but you could potentially see him over the next few weeks expand his role and hit that upside. So drop Ingram, pick up Loveland. I would consider Shakir over Wandale, but I understand Wandale's had like 40 points this year. I know if you want to hold on to him, why? And let me send out a free question to somebody in the chat real quick, and we'll get back to this. We got midweek Paul Top. I'm going to send you a free question. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the stream. Just sent you over that free start sit. Again, thanks for hanging out with us in the stream. But running back, we have Achane, Connor, Jacobs, Benson, Ollie Gordon, Kyle Monungai. Looking at options on waivers, I would consider going with like Ray Davis or Najee Harris over like Ollie Gordon. Like if you could drop Ollie Gordon and pick up Najee, and just in case something happens with Hampton this week, that'd be interesting. Wide receiver, we have the two hammers we can start every week. We have Puka, we have AJ Brown. Ricky Pearsall, solid wide receiver 3. Wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, I'm not that pumped for. And then tight end, we have Juwan Johnson. I'm trying to think of a trade that we could possibly make. Thing is, if this is a half PBR format, I actually kind of like having James Conner here for the flex. You know I'm not a big James Conner guy. Let's see if we can find a team that's desperate for some running back help. This team just lost Aaron Jones, so their running back 3 right now is Jerome Ford. If you want to see if we can flip James Conner for Egbuka, we could look at doing that. This is the team we should be approaching. We should go to this team and say, hey, listen up, oh buddy, oh pal. You're starting Cam Scatterbu and Dylan Sampson. You very clearly need some help at running back. Now, the issue is this team may just be completely checked out. This team may not care at all, because it looks like the only tight end they have on their roster is George Kittle. So if that's the case, maybe they're not here to respond to our trades. But I would offer them James Conner. Try to send them James Conner and Ricky Pearsall for Drake London. They could start James Conner over Dylan Sampson. Points per game gap between James Conner and Dylan Sampson would probably be larger than Ricky Pearsall and London. And then if you open up a roster spot that way, you can just easily pick up Khalil Shakir for free. And you would still have enough running back production with the anchors of Achan Jacobs. You could sell, I mean, you're just essentially getting somebody that's better for the flex. But I think you have a good team for your league format. Like, I actually really like it. Of course, again, if we can make one of those trades where we sell James Conner for like a no-brainer upgrade, then by all means, we'll go for it. But again, I think it kind of has to be that no-brainer if you are making that move. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me go over and send you over some free questions, just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with here. But let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to be from Jay Berg. It says 12-team full PPR, 6-point passing touchdown format. We also get a point for first downs at all positions, rushing, passing, and receiving. Ooh. So here, quarterbacks like Lamar, Allen, they are just going to be cheat codes. And then also, I would say that the wide receivers that aren't going to get a lot of volume but rely on like big play touchdowns like Jamison Williams probably be a little bit less interesting. We really just want guys that are going to get volume in this league. Obviously, struggling at quarterback and tight ends. They let down the entire team in week 2, not sure how to improve. So we have scored 244 points in this league. We are dead last in points scored. And just to show like the craziness of the scores in this league with the points per first down, this team at 1 has scored 382 points. Which, to be honest, I figured their team would look a little bit differently. I'm surprised they've been able to do that with no Allen, no Lamar. Yeah, this team down here that scored 361 has Lamar. A team that scored 342 has Daniels. Those quarterbacks are just going to be so hard to keep up with. So if we go and pull up our roster here, we currently have Daniel Jones, Justin Fields. Looking at the options on waivers, like, you don't necessarily need to pivot over to any of these names. I would consider somebody like Michael Penix and cutting Justin Fields, but you can wait to see how Michael Penix looks against the Panthers this week if you wanted to do that. Going over and looking at what we have at running back, it's a league in which you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. So the depth's not going to matter much for us. And instead, I would want to prioritize just the top end to upside pieces in the lineup. We have Barkley, Chase Brown, Judkins, and Montgomery. Quality running back room. So here's my issue with your team is you can only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. So again, the depth isn't going to matter much, and the only thing that we should care about is upside, upside, upside. And if we are looking at what we currently are sitting with, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wide receivers on our roster. So in my mind, I would really want to be looking to sell one of these wide receivers. And I would want to try our absolute best. I don't even need to sell one of the receivers. I think you just make waiver wire pivots. Just cut Troy Franklin, cut Kayshon Boutte, assuming Jaden Reed's on the IR. If Jaden Reed's not on the IR, then that's the easy player to cut. But cut Boutte, cut Franklin, pick up Sharbs, pick up Joe Mixon. Because again, it's going to be so difficult for you to know like how you could possibly get these guys in your lineup. Going over to receiver, you have Josh Downs out there as well. So like I would honestly take it one step further. If you could cut Jaden Reed and open up a Ross spot, I'd cut Reed for Downs. Or I'd cut Reed for Ayuk. And I'd rather have Ayuk on the IR than Reed. Because Reed's like, he's never been a high target volume earner. He's really just big plays and big plays only. Looking at tight end, we have Loveland out there on waivers. We don't need to pick up Loveland yet. So I don't think we do anything in terms of trades with your team. Like, I don't think anything really stands out for us. But if we were looking at what we could do roster construction wise, you cut Reed, Boutte, Franklin. You pick up Sharp, Joe Mixon, and then either Downs or Ayuk if Reed was on the IR slot or if he was on the bench. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me send you over some of those free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. Okay. Now let's move this over to Hoodie Mo. Says just traded Smitty and Dobbins for Hampton and Terry for the Daniel stack. Currently 1-1. What should we do to improve? So we're 1-1. We have the most long-term value with this team. However, we are near the bottom of the league with points scored so far this season. It's a 14-team format, so depth's going to be harder to come by, and depth's going to be more important at the same time. Right now at quarterback, we have Jaden Daniels, Daniel Jones. So a completely fine spot to be in, right? Because if we have both these QBs, you can make an argument that, okay, we get Jaden Daniels with the elite ceiling in the long term, while at the same time, Daniel Jones can be a short-term stopgap play for us. Now, looking at what we have at running back, we have Bucky, Amarian. So I understand that Amarian Hampton's been really disappointing, but in a 14-team format, like I'm fine with Amarian Hampton here. Looking at wide receiver, we have Neighbors, Terry. The long-term depth of Worthy, Golden, Franklin. Tight end, we have Ferg and Harold. Hey, this is a phenomenal team. Like, of course, the Jaden Daniels injury absolutely sucks. But I think we're going to be able to be okay, especially knowing that we are 1-1. So it's not like we're in full-blown panic mode to start winning games right now. We're not in full-blown panic mode to start winning games right now. So I'm fine having the rookie running backs as our RB2, RB3 combo. This is like an incredible team. Sorry, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we could, like, what could we possibly do with this? I don't, like, start Bucky, Hampton, JCM this week, start Neighbors, Terry, start Daniel Jones, start Ferg. Maybe we could find a team that could actually use Harold Fannin. We could try to squeeze some value out of Fannin. Like, this team is Mark Andrews is their tight end 1, and Andrews has had 7 receiving yards so far this year. So if you wanted to try to send them like Harold Fannin and get an upgrade elsewhere, send them like Harold Fannin and Amari Hampton for Kyron Williams, Harold Fannin and Xavier Worthy for Marvin Harrison, I would send those offers over. Where are the other bad teams at tight end? This team has Evan Ingram and Isaiah Likely, so they have no tight end to start this week at all. I would offer them Harold Fannin and Amari Hampton for Ashton Genty. I would offer them Harold Fannin and Matthew Golden for Jamison Williams. Where's the other bad team at tight ends? This team is Loveland and Noah Fant. So I maybe they're starting Loveland this week. So I would go out there and offer them Harold Fannin and Trey Benson for Quinshon Judkins. Harold Fannin and Xavier Worthy for Egbuka, for Tyreek, for Metcalf, for one of those receivers. But I don't think there's anything else that you would need to do here, my guy. I think you're in a really, really good spot post your trade. You just got to wait for Daniels to come back. Let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. I'd be super happy to take a look at anything for you. Let's move this over to our next question. This next one's going to be coming out from Brazy. It says, SOS, I'm off to a rough start. My first year drafting 2 tight ends, and I'm glad I did. I know I need to drop a quarterback, just don't know who. Just picked up RJ Harvey from the waiver wire. The top 6 teams make the playoffs. Okay, so here's the fact of the matter, my guy. This is an 8-team league where the top 6 teams make the playoffs. You could start off 0-4 and you could still be in the playoff hunt, as crazy as that sounds. So looking at our team, we are first in the league analyzer with future value. If I was looking to cut a quarterback here, for me, it would be Daniel Jones, even though I know he's been the best guy. So here's the play, Brazy. It's stupid simple. You do everything you possibly can. Everything you can to sell wide receivers with running backs for RB upgrades. You're first in this league with running back value. The league analyzer is saying this is a non-PPR format, which if it's a non-PPR format, it's even more important for you to be doing this. If it's a full PPR league, I still think you're probably looking at it. But right now, Rome Odunze is our wide receiver 5. Garrett Wilson's wide receiver 6. Igbuka's our wide receiver 7. How do you ever get Igbuka inside your starting lineup? He's essentially meaningless. He's useless for you. Now, here's the issue with that. Is it's an 8-team league. Not many people are going to need to go out there and trade for Igbuka. So the trades that you're going to need to be offering, you're not going to offer the wide receivers down here at the very bottom. Not a single person in your league will want to trade for Devonta Smith. You can try. By all means, go for it. But I'd be surprised. I think what you're probably going to end up needing to do is I think you're probably going to end up needing to sell some of these wide receivers that are a little bit higher. Somebody like Tet, somebody like London. With Chase Brown, with Ashton Genty, with RJ Harvey, to go get a running back that we are more excited about at the top. Like, I don't think that there's anything else that you could possibly make an argument for with this team. Yeah, you're great at tight end. I mean, I would love to try to go trade for an elite quarterback as well. If you could send Drake London and Kyler Murray for Josh Allen, Drake London and Kyler Murray for Lamar Jackson, here in an 8-team league where our wide receiver room looks like this, by all means, we're going for it. But again, I would say that the issue is probably going to be, it's going to be much easier said than done to be able to sell like the receivers Garrett Wilson, Igbuka, and Devonta Smith. So I think you're going to have to look to sell the better options. And then there aren't any waiver wire options that look like they are crazy pickups. I'd probably leave your team as is with waivers. You just got to sell wide receivers. Whether it's for a QB upgrade, for a running back upgrade, it doesn't matter. You just got to sell. I mean, I would love to sell 4 wide receivers on your team for upgrades elsewhere. But Jay Leaper is going to be our next one. I think I need to sign in and sign out for this team real quick. Let me log out, sign back in. And as I do this, I will stall by reminding y'all that if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel. We are answering questions every single day. Every single day until Christmas. I will not miss a single day of live streaming. So go down there, subscribe, and whenever we hit 900 likes on the stream or 1,000 likes, whatever our next like goal is, y'all know it. We will get some more free questions going. But let's get this going for Jay Leaper here. It says, what trades should we do? We are super weak at running back. This is a 12-team start 8 format. So if it's a 12-team start 8 league, we are very much incentivized to build around wide receiver and running back depth. It's not as simple as saying, go get an elite quarterback and an elite tight end. We're done with it. Pulling up your roster here, we have Lamar and we have Bryce Young. Now, I understand, yes, Lamar is the week 7 bye, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. You still cut Bryce Young. There's no way in hell that we need Bryce Young on this team. Once we get to the week 7 bye for Lamar Jackson, we'll go ahead and we will just simply go to the waiver wire and pick up Brock Purdy, pick up Trevor Lawrence. We'll be able to find a name here, kind of no problem. So, cut Bryce Young. Going over and looking at running back, somebody that we can cut him for is going to be Tyrone Tracy. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe that Cam Scadaboo has this long-term job. I have Cam Scadaboo on my own team, so I hope Tyrone Tracy's nothing. But still not necessarily a guarantee. While at the same time, if we are looking at Tracy on top of this, at the very minimum, you could say that he's a handcuff player that if Scat were to go down, Tracy could turn into an every week starter for us. And we really can't be overlooking any potential running back starter considering what we currently have on our roster. As we go over and we look at running back in, it's not a pretty scenario. Right now, we are currently sitting with Chuba Hubbard as our running back 1, not great. We have Ramondre Stevenson as our running back 2, not great. And we have Joe Mixon with the hope and the prayer that he eventually turns into something. So running back, you're right. This is a disaster. We need to do whatever we can to improve the running back room, especially knowing that Trevion's eventually going to take over here in New England. So I think the first thing we could say is, hell, let's probably roster some of these running backs from the waiver wire. So I'd drop Bryce Young. I'd pick up Tyrone Tracy. Going over to wide receiver, while I understand that Keon Coleman's been up and down, looks like he's not going to be a super reliable or a consistent player, I would still rather have Keon Coleman over Kayshon Boutte. I don't think we can say that Kayshon Boutte's been a consistent player, where Kayshon Boutte has only had this past week he only had one target. And long term, I think Keon Coleman is in the better offense between the two of them. So we're going to go Keon over him. So drop Boutte, pick up Keon. Then in terms of trades that we could potentially make, it's a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. So here's the thing. If I were to tell you, yeah, let's sell DJ Moore for a running back, which nobody's buying DJ Moore. Like if you were to sell a wide receiver, you got to sell London. Like that's just the only wide receiver. They'd buy Lamb in London. I don't think anybody's buying DJ Moore. I don't think anybody's buying Calvin Ridley. Nobody's buying Matthew Golden. But it's a start 8 format. So if you were to go through and sell Drake London, right? All of a sudden you're going to go from having a what? You're to go from having a flex spot with Calvin Ridley to a flex spot like Troy Franklin, which maybe doesn't sound that bad, but I'd be scared of it. Here's what I want to do. We want to optimize the bottom end of the lineup. Drop Bryce Young, pick up that running back. Drop Boutte, pick up Keon Coleman. I would also try to trade Harold Fannin if we can find a team that really needs Fannin, or try to sell Dalton Kincaid. If we can find a team here that's garbage at tight end, this team has Dallas Goedert as their tight end. Is there any way we can sell them Kincaid or Fannin for J.K. Dobbins? Because if so, we will. This team is Juwan Johnson and Mark Andrews. They don't have any running back that we could pivot a crap tight end for. This team is David Njoku and Taysom Hill. Could we sell them they don't have any running back depth either. They're not going to be willing to roll into the season with Brian Robinson, so that's frustrating. So I guess really only that one team would be the capable trade partner with us if we were trying to send one of these tight ends. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. And we'll be super happy to take a look at it for you. But let's move this over to our next team. This one's going to be coming out from Lions. It says, trying to pry away JSN from their owner with one of my tight ends, a bigger package, but they have not responded. What would you do from this team from here on out? So currently at the moment, we are 8th in the league analyzer with future value. We are 1-1. We've scored 245 points, so we are dead middle in the league with total points scored so far. We're right in the middle of the league when it comes to our... Actually, this is a super flex league, so I will say real quick, sorry about that. But it completely ignore the league analyzer overall rankings. You kind of have to go position by position with Superflex because it is pulling in one quarterback value. So reality is you'd be a lot higher in the Superflex ranks because obviously we are 2nd in this league with total quarterback value. So we're in a really good spot there. And yeah, looking at what we have with quarterback, we are currently sitting with Lamar, Caleb, 2 quarterbacks that we're pretty comfortable starting every single week. And then going over and looking at what we have with Mac Jones as a quarterback 3. like completely fine at QB. And obviously we'd expect that there aren't really any quarterbacks out there on the waiver wire for us to pick up. So quarterback, completely fine. Going over and looking at what we have with our running backs. We have Achane, Kenneth Walker, Tyrone Tracy, Woody Marks, Chris Rodriguez. And yeah, running backs on the waiver wire are garbage. So it looks like the Charbonnet injury really does help us out here. And it looks like we are probably in a spot in which we can just absolutely jam in Achane and Walker with zero hesitation. Going over and looking at receivers, we have Higgins, Travis Hunter, Devonta Smith, Ricky Pearsall, Khalil Shakir. So wide receiver kind of sucks. Like wide receiver is going to be the position that we would need the most help with. It's a start 9 format. Obviously, one of them being a super flex spot. So realistically, we're starting 6 skill positional guys weekly, then 2 quarterbacks and a tight ends. So you already know what we are trying to do. We're trying to trade a tight end to get an upgrade at wide receiver. You already mentioned that. And the JSN owner's not responding. So let's look at all the teams that need help at tight ends. This team has Dallas Goedert and Jatavion Sanders as their 2 tight ends. Can we send them the combo of Sam Laporta and Travis Hunter for Tet McMillan? Sam Laporta, Devonta Smith for Tet. Tucker Kraft and T. Higgins for Amon-Ra. There's no way they would accept it, but we'll send it. This team has TJ Hawkinson as their only tight end. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. I have TJ Hawkinson with my team. And I would do absolutely anything that I could to trade for a tight end like Tucker Kraft. So if you could sell maybe like, say, I don't know, Tucker Kraft and Ricky Pearsall for Tyreek. We're 1-1, right? Let me just confirm. Yeah, we're 1-1. If we were 2-0, I think we'd be really excited about maybe going and getting Rashee Rice. But 1-1, I think we need to be a little bit more hesitant with that. If you wanted to flip Laporta straight up for DJ Moore, flip Laporta straight up for Olave, I think that could be interesting as well. And let's move over and check out maybe another team that needs some help at tight ends. This team is Juwan Johnson and Mark Andrews. I would offer them Laporta and Ricky Pearsall for Mike Evans. I would offer them Laporta straight up for Jalen Waddle. In general, I would prefer one of those 2-for-1 deals, however, just because, again, if you're looking at your current setup, you have a ton of wide receiver potential starters. It's just like we don't necessarily have the top end names. So I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Let me send you over those free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. I'd be super happy to take a look at it for you, my guy. Okay. But let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be Nobe says, who should we drop for a quarterback? So this is Justin League. So it looks like we maybe already dropped somebody for a QB, but we can go through other drops as well. This is a 12-team start 8 format, so the skill positional depth is going to matter a bit more. I will say real quick, if Joe Burrow is actively on your roster and not on your IR, if you don't have an IR slot for him, I would cut Burrow. Now, obviously, I'd cut Jalen Coker way before him. So if you have one IR slot and Jalen Coker's in it, put Burrow there, cut Jalen Coker. But if either of these players are not on the IR, you don't have IR slots, then there are cuts for some of these other intriguing names off waivers. Second thing with this is you do not need Chig. There's no way you're starting Chig in favor of like Sam Laporta ever. So what I would probably do here is drop Chig. Trey Benson and Byshell Tootin both have a ton of upside where you potentially could see them turn into a league winner if their situations were to change. So drop Chig, pick up Benson. I would drop Alec Yeomanor, and I'd pick up Byshell Tootin and bolster our running back room. It's not that we need help at running back. Like, we're great. We have Javonte, we have Taylor, we have JCM, we have Judkins. But, like, if James Conner were to get injured and Trey Benson turns into a league winner, then at that point, all of a sudden, like, you have the expendable value where you could sell Javonte Williams and a quarterback and go get an elite QB. Where right now you maybe don't exactly have that same type of flexibility because you need every one of these skill positional starters here in an 8-team league. And I don't want to make a single trade with your team. Like, if this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I think you'd be ready to trade for a quarterback now. But with this being a start 8 format, I think that we want to be building around the skill positional depth. Now, don't get me wrong. If you hit on a couple of those running backs that we're going to pick up, then at that point, we'll go through and we'll trade for a better QB. But for now, I think you keep it simple. You drop Yeomanor, you drop Chig, you pick up Benson, you pick up Byshell Tootin. I would also drop Jalen Coker for Christian Kirk if Coker is on your bench, not your IR. If he's on your IR, of course, ignore me. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Let's move this over to our next one. And actually, let's take a quick little break from the team reviews. And let's move over and let's get to some of these start, sit, and trade questions. Okay. Okay, C. Buffett with our next question. Says, traded Rice for Brown, did I cook? 100%. Like, maybe in a couple of weeks when they're coming back and if A.J. Brown hasn't bounced back at any point, then maybe you can rank Rice over A.J. Brown. Like, realistically, after this week, if A.J. Brown gives you another game with 3 points, Rashee Rice will be over him in my rankings. Rest of season, that is. But I think more likely than not, we're about to get an A.J. Brown bounce back, so I like it. Now, moving to our next question, JD Beveridge, trading Jordan Mason, Garrett Wilson, Igbuka for Taylor, Adams, Rice. This is a dynasty deal. I'd rather have Taylor over Mason. Igbuka, Rice, up to you. Sorry, Taylor over Wilson, Mason, Devontae Adams. Up to you as well. I'll go with the Jonathan Taylor side of this. I do think Jordan Mason's going to absolutely crush over the next month, though. But I think Jordan Mason's just kind of a rental in Dynasty. I don't think Jordan Mason is going to have like a 2-3 year outlook, to be honest. Could be wrong. Okay. Now, bros, this is A.J. Brown and Brian Thomas for Javonte, Ladd, and Adams. Brian Thomas, Ladd, they're back-to-back in my rankings. Up to you. A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams are really close to my rankings. So I think you're like having 2 lateral swaps at wide receiver and you're picking up a strong running back upgrade. So I'll go Javonte. Smokey says, you flock and rock, Mason. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you, my guy. Quarterback here, we have Jalen Hurts. Running back, we're going to go Connor Wide receiver, Pickens. Tight end, Ertz. Flex, Devonta Smith, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Barrett. I would rather tell people to bench JCM if they can this week, but obviously not everybody will be able to. Beto, always happy to see you, my guy. Says, hey, Mason, I'm really nervous about QJ and my flex. Completely understand that. Let me just double check. Quarterback, yeah, we have Daniel Jones over Purdy. Running back, we're going to go Gibbs and James Cook. Wide receiver, Lamb, Rome. Tight end, Tyler Warren. Flex, Ricky Pearsall. So it really comes down to Quentin Johnston or Trevion Henderson. Can y'all please spam the chat? Beto's always out here with us. Who would y'all rather start this week? Quentin Johnston or Trevion Henderson? I had Quentin Johnston ahead of Trevion in my flex rankings this week. Again, I'm very, very biased. I have a lot of money invested into Quentin Johnston this year. I'm going to do very well if he continues to play how he has. Now, I will be honest, and then I do think we get some regression for Quentin Johnston relatively soon. But we got everybody saying QJ here. We got maybe one vote for Trevion. So, yeah, I think you have to go ahead. I think you have to play the big Q, my guy. Now, Clavy says, I got Nico in this. Just wondering your thoughts. Okay, so looking at Nico Collins is the best player in the deal. So looking at the league settings, it's a 10-team league where you're going to start 2 wide receivers in a flex. If it's a 10-team format where you only start 2 receivers in a flex, I am completely fine with you going through and with you just getting the best player, Nico Collins, and selling the additional depth running back to get it done. Now, Tony 2 times here for the flex. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Egbuka over Pittman and like RJ Harvey, I guess. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm lower on Egbuka this week given the injury, but you still play him over those names for sure. Now, Jersey B here, running back Jordan Mason, Bijan Robinson, auto starts this week. Wide receiver, we're going to go A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas, tight end, Jawan, and then in the flex, we're going right back to running back. We're playing Javonte and Tony Pollard as just the running backs with guaranteed volume. In my opinion, I think that just in the flex spots in general, if you can start 2 running backs that you can pencil in for at least 15 touches, like it gives you such a high floor. Like maybe Tony Pollard doesn't have the craziest ceiling ever, but there is something to just making sure that you're never going to be last in your league in scoring that week. Like you go through and you look at the starting lineup decisions I make in the flock league. A lot of times, like very rarely, you go back to last year as well. The only time last year I was ever like the number 1 scoring team in the league was when Jamar Chase went nuclear. But everybody always complained that like your record's better than your points for. When generally, like you can actually make that happen, not super reliably, but give yourself a shot to have a record better than your points for. If you just go through and start running backs, like I'm starting Travis Etienne and Tony Pollard in the 2 flex spots again this week. Again, I know my ceilings may be a little bit capped, but I should be around, I'm not going to be lower than 8th in the league in scoring. So every single week, I'm giving myself a shot to win. Now, yeah, so start, like if you have a running back that's going to get guaranteed volume, you put them in the flex. Here for HR, we're going to go with Tet McMillan in the flex spot. Mr. Filthy Wubs. Tight end between Jake Ferg and Juwan Johnson. I'm going to go with Jake Ferg. Saints have a very tough matchup this week against the Seahawks. Jake Cook, running back. Probably going to take Tracy here over Harvey and hope that he's not benched. And then I'm actually going to move Sutton ahead of Debo with no Jaden Daniels in our lineup this week. Tyrone, wide receiver, JSN, Ladd, Rome will all be auto starts for us. And then in the flex, we're going to go with Judkins. And then, of course, if JSN doesn't play, you'll pivot over to Travis Hunter. So let's move this over to our next one. This is from Bear Maulings. Trading Pickens and Tyler Warren for Rashee Rice and George Kittle. Pickens to Rice upgrade, Warren to Kittle downgrade. The only way I do this is if you're 2-0. I am not going to mark either side as the winner. If you're 1-1, it's risky. If you're 0-2, it's horrendous. If you're 2-0, I'd understand it though. Now, Ryan Matthews with our next question. It's a start sit. We need 2 flexes. We're going to go with Cortland Sutton, and then between Smith, Judy, Judkins, it's a full PPR format. So I'm going to go with Smith and hope that for once the Philadelphia Eagles get forced to throw the football, and this is a close game with the Los Angeles Rams. By no means is that a guarantee, but we're going to send up a prayer and we're going to hope for it. Now, our next question is going to come out from Reed. Here for the flex, we're just going to take DeAndre Swift. I think Igbuka gives you a higher ceiling, but I think you have a lower floor as well. Just because, again, we go back and we look at Igbuka. You're dealing with the multitude of injuries. Swift, you have the hamstring that you have to worry about, but I guess actually for that reason, how the hell am I going to say like, oh, Igbuka is risky with the injuries. Play DeAndre Swift dealing with a hamstring injury. My flex rankings, I have Swift at 39. I had Igbuka at 41. So I have, looks like my rankings agree with my gut reaction here to go Swift, but they are 2 spots apart. Don't play Devonta Smith. Don't play Quentin Johnston. It's either Swift or Igbuka, and it's going to be primarily up to you here, my guy. Okay, now next question from Dog Fan. Here at running back, I'm assuming you already played James Cook. Kenneth Walker will be our flex. Tight end, we're going to go Jake Ferg. And if you didn't play James Cook, your other play is going to be Javonte. You're playing the running backs there in the flex regardless. But Kenneth Walker is an absolute crusher with no sharps. Here for C. Fetty, we're going to go Harold Fannin over Loveland. Crazy. That we're already doing that week 3. Well, I mean, we were doing a week 2. And then we're going to go Tet over Marvin Harrison in the flex spot as well. Now, Turtles trade down in the flex. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson over Igbuka with him dealing with the injuries. Youngstow, give me Kyron over Pollard, but they're close. Give me Loveland versus Jatavion Sanders. I hate to say it, but we're going to go Jatavion. And then in the flexes, give me Pollard. And then I'm going to go with Travis Hunter over Stephon Diggs. Mitchie Mabes says 0-2 with the best team in the analyzer. Let's check this out. Well, it looks like the reason is the league analyzer has you 0-2 for future value, right? And you drafted Trevion, Amari and Hampton, Cam Scadaboo. So we have 3 rookie running backs. And then we have also drafted Rashee Rice. So the team has a lot of value, but obviously the expectation should be if you go through and you draft only rookies and a suspended player, that of course we're going to start off a little bit slower. Looking at who I'd put in the flex spot, I'm probably going to go with DJ Moore here. Reason being is the game environment should be super high scoring against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, flock member 10 here with our next one. Yeah, the best player to get in the lineup would be J.K. Dobbins, but I'm not putting Dobbins in over any of these names, so we're going to leave that as is. Now, C-Man here at running back. Is this a joke? Are you pranking me? I can't tell if I'm being trolled. Our options at running back for the time being are RJ Harvey, and I guess we go Jeremy McNichols. I'd play him over Woody Marks. And then down in the flex, I'll take Diami Brown. I would rather have Luther Burden in the long run. But it's not like Luther Burden's doing anything right now. So probably just roll with Dimey Brown, to be honest. That is crazy. But Ipsy Joey here for the flex. I'm going to go T. Higgins over Pittman. I wouldn't consider any of the running backs. I'm definitely very, very, very worried about T. Higgins, given the context of us not having Joe Burrow in this offense. But you can still run with him regardless. Now, C-Man for the flex. It's really between Diggs and Hunter. I'd go Hunter. As I mean, if we're looking at Stephon Diggs at the moment, he's not getting the playing time just like Travis Hunter. And I think if I had to pick a wide receiver for a big play between the two of them when neither are getting volume, it would be Hunter. Now, Kinzer trading Chase Brown for Pollard and Igbuka. Probably rather have Chase Brown. How bad do you need another receiver? We have St. Brown, Jacoby, Ladd, Rice, Pearsall. Yeah, give me Chase Brown here. Tony Pollard looks phenomenal right now because we have no Spears. But once Spears is in, the snaps will go down. Okay, so let's go. Kebab Carrot. We gave away this free question in the stream earlier. Looking at Hunter versus Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to go with Travis Hunter. Again, Jerry Jeudy, worst offense in the league, playing the toughest defense. I'll go Juwan Johnson over Dallas Goedert, and then you easily play Tony Pollard in the flex spot with a guaranteed volume. The lands here for wide receiver. We're going to play Higgins and J-Mo. For the flexes, we're going to play Terry and Devonta Smith. Don't want to play Kraft in a flex over a wide receiver. Typically never want to play a tight end in the flex spot. And also you have Kraft banged up. M. Martinez trading Genty to downgrade to Chuba. Ridley to upgrade to Rome. Or let's go Rice to Rome, lateral move. Genty to Chuba, downgrade. Ridley to Pollard, slight upgrade. Getting Ferg as well. For me, I think Ashton Genty is by far and away the best play. I mean, I'd make this trade if you were 0-2 and you're like, man, I can't wait for Genty to get better. I can't wait for Rice to come back. Then, hell yeah, let's go out there. And in that instance, let's make the play for the package of assets that are producing right now. But I do think that you get more upside when it comes to Ashton Genty, Calvin Ridley, and Rice. Now, Austin P. trading Judkins, Kyron, and Rome for Kamara and JSN. So JSN, best player in the deal. Kamara versus Kyron look to be about the same. You're paying Judkins to get the upgrade. So yeah, this is a no-brainer. We want to go ahead. We want to take JSN and Kamara. Okay. Now, sad Saints fan. Judkins over Hunter is going to be something that's tough to determine. I think Judkins gives you a higher floor. Travis Hunter gives you a higher ceiling. It is so close to the point that I would probably say if it's like a half PPR format, you give me Judkins, full PPR league, you give me Hunter. But it is, I could go back and forth there 1,000 times. I want to consider anybody else though. Poe 21, we got Mac Jones and a quarterback. Purdy's not going to play. And then a running back slash, or just flex. I'm actually going to be Travis Hunter. We're playing Travis Hunter over Trevion. And I'm not playing Booty. Booty had one target this past week. Now, Zez Marag, this is Brees, Brian Thomas versus H. and Walk and Shakir. 10-team league. Wide receiver after, we'd have Lamb, Puka, Keenan, Rome. You have plenty of wide receiver production. We can afford this deal. We can go get the upgrade with H. Kinzer here at running back. Projections say play Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt over Hampton. I'm going to be stubborn and I'm going to play Hampton. And then I'm going to play Pittman in the flex. Like, I'm going to be stubborn. I'm not playing Bill Krosky-Merritt until we see him have the role. I understand that the projections are he's the starting running back this week with no Austin Eckler. But hell, let's see it. Can I at least see it for 1 week? Amari Hampton's played over 70% of the snaps the past 2 weeks. How the hell are we going to play Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt over him? Now, Arik here for the flex. Not considering any of the running backs. We're going to go Igbukah, Tet, and probably Higgins. If you want to go with Ricky Pearsall over Igbukah, if you're worried about the Igbukah injury, he's not going to follow you for it. Parker says, do you think the running back depth will be fine after this? You make this deal, you'll have Judkins, Trevion, Chase Brown. I would rather have Gibbs. I'd rather have Gibbs in a vacuum. I can see that this is a league in which you can start 6 skill positional guys weekly. So if it's a start 8 format here, I understand you making this. A super easy call, though. But yeah, I think your running back room will be okay. Like, it'll just go from you have a great running back room to you have a great wide receiver room. Now, midweek Paul Top. Here for the flex. Probably go Jacoby and Swift, but we've gone back and forth with Swift and Igbukah. It's going to come down to what you perceive with their current injury risk. Wendy, here for the flex spot, you play Igbukah over Pittman. Like, Pittman's just simply not getting the target volume in Indianapolis. They just have too many weapons there. They're spreading it out. Now, T560 says, I feel like my wide receiver room is more than great. Is this a solid trade? Adams to Chase Brown upgrade, Charbonnet to Jordan Mason, massive upgrade. I don't care if your wide receiver room's garbage, I would still make this move. You 100% want to go for this. Okay. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This one's from Darren. Running back Jordan Mason's an auto start this week. I'm going to go James Conner, even if we expect him to get worse as time goes on. Brian Thomas at wide receiver. And then for the flex, I'm going to go Sutton over Igbukah, where we are somewhat concerned with the injuries. Now, House of Spurs, give me full PBR format. I'm going Hampton over Chubb. Any smart person says Chubb, though. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's Chubb. I drafted a ton of Nick Chubb in underdog drafts, so we didn't really draft that much Hampton. Definitely have a lot more Chubb. Looking at wide receiver, you go Rome given the matchup, and then we're going to go T. Higgins in the flex. And then Jacoby here for the flex. It looks like you didn't fill this out completely. It's just you put Trevi on there. So I'm going to send you over another free start sit so you can show me your other options. To refresh, see if we have any more quick questions. So we don't have any more quick questions. I know we have some more team reviews that we need to get through, but we should be able to live stream for 5 hours tomorrow. I'm going to wake up super, super early and stream as we always do. So we'll get to the team reviews in the morning. All I got to ask is, if you haven't already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel. I'm live streaming every single day answering fantasy football questions. I will be giving away a ridiculous amount of free questions in the live stream tomorrow. Last Sunday in the live stream, we got to the point where every 100 likes, instead of giving away 1 free question, we were giving away 4 free questions. So I'd really recommend, if you wanted to get those free questions asked, come out to the live stream tomorrow morning. And also tomorrow morning, we will have all the questions open on the site as well, where you can even purchase questions if you were wanting to, which I know we've had that option closed for the past few days. But I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us in this live stream tonight. I'll be live in about 8 or so hours. So I got to get to bed so we can rest up, because we got a big, big day tomorrow. But really appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen, and really hope I get to see you out in that live stream tomorrow. Just make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube tells